Hello, everyone, and welcome in to West High for the Battle of the Panthers on KSL Sports Rewind. It's the West High Panthers taking on the St. Francis Academy Panthers. JT Wistersill and Brian Brown with you on what should be a really exciting matchup. West won the toss. They, of course, will defer to the second half, and we're going to get our first look at not just a very talented West team, but a top 5 preseason ranked Panthers St. Francis team, Brian.
Yeah, JT, this is a nationally ranked, nationally known team. For those who are watching at home, and maybe you've heard of St. Francis Academy, the starring squad in the HBO show The Cost of Winning, coming to town to Salt Lake City to take on our version of the Panthers.
West High comes to this one 2-2 on the season, had an early season loss to a school out in California, and then also an in-state loss to American Fork, but they're coming off an impressive win recently. They're starting to really get going, Brian, and look, this St. Francis team is 1-4, but with the St. John Bosco, they literally played the #1 team in the state. This is not a 1-4 team.
Yeah, this is a team that's battle-tested across the nation, JT. A slew of starters and quarterback. Michael Van Buren, who's committed to Oregon. You're going to see a lot of talented top 100, top 300 ranked players on this team. It should be a great matchup for West.
Drive a star in the 20. Van Buren alone in the backfield. He's got time to throw and settles for the check down. Nice quick gain for the Panthers of St. Francis Academy.
We'll try not to trick up the viewers too much at home as we call Panther versus Panther here. But you can see early on, trying to stretch the field horizontally, see how quick that pursuit is for West High. I think this pass rush for our West High Panthers is going to play a major role today.
Riley Jackson makes the first grab over the middle. This time, St. Francis looks to the outside, and James Branch brings it in, the true freshman.
Yeah, Branch a big target, as you can see, and St. Francis wanting to go huddle up early on. We'll see how that plays out through the course of the game, JT. Obviously at altitude, a little bit higher than Maryland here. So
St. Francis easily moves the chains, and yes, it is a lot higher of an altitude as the catch is made that time. Looked like it was bobbled for a moment, but once again they go back to the big James Branch.
And Branch makes the completion, but Van Buren paid the price on that one as he was absolutely leveled there. I believe it was Miller Carter. Maybe it was R.J. Lapuaho. Hard to see what the number was, as those jerseys tend to get rolled up a little bit. But regardless, welcome to Salt Lake City.
Well, and Branch is down, unfortunately. Had to hobble off to the sideline and is currently being tended to by the St. Francis Academy medical staff. We'll hope to see him back in the game already with 2 catches here early. 10:41 to go. Ball on the 40 of St. Francis. This time Van Buren keeps to a big result as he crosses the 35 before he's tripped up and goes down at the 30. The big run by the quarterback.
Yeah, he's fired up, pops up afterward, pumps the fist, and they're up and ready to roll again, JT. But you can see why he's such a highly pursued recruit. Undersized at the quarterback position, only 5'11", but that elite burst, and you see the catch West just slipping a little bit there in terms of the run fit, able to get the big game.
Yeah, he'll be playing at the University of Oregon next year, and you can see why with his athletic skill set. And he's going to take off again. Waits till the last second. If he would have thrown that, it might have been intentional. He would have been behind over the line, but instead he'll settle for the short scramble. And even a play like that still gains 4 yards for him, Brian.
It does, and that's, I think, what really they want to do today if you're St. Francis is this is a program that comes with a lot of speed. East Coast program, very prominent. Built on the back of Biff Poggi, for those who know the Charlotte head coach, now at the NCAA level. They play with speed, they play with fast, they play with aggression, and they're going to try and test this West secondary for sure. You can see how deep the safety's playing currently, almost 15, 20 yards off the ball.
What's that? What were you saying, Brian?
I was just going to say prove me wrong as they creep up a little bit there, but West is going to rely on the pass rush for sure here.
Someone lost a helmet as the St. Francis Academy Panthers gained 3 yards on the carry. Who are you most looking forward to on this West defense to checking out tonight for the West Panthers, of course?
There's a bevy of players out here that I love. Alvin Puafua, the giant nose tackle, he's going to be a big one on Saturdays up in the, whatever college he decides to go to. Taimani Brown's another one that I absolutely love to watch play. It is a deep, fast, Chachi Pan playing back there at safety. He'll go both ways. But I'm excited just to see this West defense as a whole. I think Coach Mania Brown does a great job with a defensive front. and they're going to put pressure on St. Francis tonight and make this a long game. Or try to, anyways.
The look to the ground again. Great blocking. That ball is out, and the West High Panthers jump on top of it. So West gives up a lot of yardage to St. Francis on the first drive, but then they force the fumble, and West with the early takeaway.
One of the things I love about this West High defense, they're always in pursuit, JT, and it pays off big time there. Even though there's a hole, they're closing, they're attacking, they're pursuing, and it causes the fumble. And for St. Francis, was such a promising drive early on, falls apart there with the turnover, and you're going to give Isaiah Suisue and this West High offense just a monster Trenchtown block, as I like to call them, a monster offensive line opportunity to drive against a St. Francis team that has to be a little bit tired, JT. They travel the country all the time, and these are young kids, but they're at altitude. You know, we talked to the coach pregame, and they had another varsity squad that played another game this week. So all the organization, the travel, it takes a toll. And against such a big physical front with West High, it's a big turnover early on.
Calvin Malepeai flanks him in the backfield. Suisue will give to him on the first drive.
Big play.
As he's dragged down for a minimal game, you see the athleticism of St. Francis Academy right on cue, Brian.
Yeah, multiple defenders from this defense are committed or ranked very highly in the Maryland, they call it the DMV, Maryland area there with D.C., Virginia. Very highly fertile recruiting area, so you're going to see a lot of talented players tonight. Should be a good test for this West High offense.
Call it 2nd and 11. Suisue keeps it for a big result. Suisue gets most of the yardage back from the loss and then some.
Well, nice job by
short.
Nice job by Suisue there to pull the ball as he sees the defender close quickly. Talk about this physical front for West. They've got wide splits tonight, JT. You're seeing St. Francis shoot those gaps a little bit. Be interesting to see if West makes an adjustment in the run game because of that. But wisely, Suisue pulls, gets the gain. Now they're 3rd and about 5.
Malepeai still in the backfield, and they'll give it to him here. And he did not get the first, so he stopped about 2 yards short. Decision for West.
Yeah, interesting call there to run the ball on 3rd and about 5. You see the confidence that they have in Malepeai and Suisue in the game. And going for it here on 4th down, it looks like, deep in their own territory. Risky call, maybe.
That's hence why the punt is coming out. I mean, I know you're feeling good, aggressive play calling style, but when you got a top 3 team, at least according to preseason, I know they're 1-4. We call it a very deceptive Bingham 1-4 record. I think I called Bingham the best 1-4 team recently. They might have the cake, St. Francis, in that regard. A good decision by Coach Solovey not to want to give that potent offense that did move the ball with ease. It looked like on that first drive, a short field.
With the late punt substitution, you may look for a fake punt here too.
Or a blocked punt, as I believe that one was at least partially tipped. But are we going to get a roughing the punter here? Wow, that was close, Brian.
If the defender didn't get any ball, he definitely got a lot of leg. And JT, after what happened last week here at West High School, severe injury to the kicker after a infraction, you have to think that this officiating crew is going to treat that penalty with extreme caution. I think this one is actually going to go in favor of the Panthers, as it looks like.
No, really, it'll go in favor of the Panthers.
Yeah, how about that? Sometimes you're lucky. Not actually a roughing, just a roughing the kick or roughing the punter penalty.
Yeah.
But that's enough for a first down, as it was only 4th and 3. Almost better than the fake punt there.
Yeah, it worked out very well for them. So early on, St. Francis shooting themselves in the foot. We'll see if they're able to get on track, and with all the talent they have, got to imagine they'll be able to do so. Some of the top players in the state, and I know you have your eye on a particular corner committed to Oregon, Brian.
Yeah, that would be iffy out there on the edge, and we'll see him quite a bit tonight. I believe it's number 7 there, the bottom of your screen. This is a young wide receiving unit, as you see a late flag come in. And some extracurriculars out on the far side of the field there. The St. Francis squad, this is a Black Catholic institution from right in the heart of Baltimore. Anybody who knows the history of Baltimore, it's a very crime-riddled community. And this has become a beacon of hope, of light, a way out for a lot of these young men. Unfortunately, that one goes against St. Francis in favor of the West High Panthers, but this is a program that is very proud of what they've built and how they've been able to establish themselves on the main stage. like I mentioned, the Cost of Winning program on HBO, only 2 hours long, definitely worth watching if it's something of interest to you. But more importantly, West High's now got something going, JT.
Sue gets the quick completion, his first of the game, and it'll be a gain of about 2 yards that time. He's able to get it to Lopati.
You can see the St. Francis defense, the gang tackling, right? The speed with which they close, and you don't see a lot of secondaries in the state of Utah with this kind of size and speed that St. Francis has. Everything else, I think, matches up really evenly for most of the teams across the state. In fact, I saw one of the local defensive coordinators joke. Somebody mentioned that, have you ever seen a high school offensive line that's 6'5", 300 across the board? And they joked that that's everywhere in Utah. It's kind of the truth.
On the 46, West Panthers looking with time, and they have a first down on the completion. Making the grab was Yunga.
Yeah, great job by Trenchtown block there, providing Isaiah Sue with the time to find the open wide receiver, puts the ball on the money. It's a first down conversion, and better yet, JT, the drive continues now as the Panthers are across the 50 and into St. Francis territory.
We've seen 3 mistakes by St. Francis really cost them early. The fumble, the roughing the punter, which you said wasn't even roughing the punter to your point, but then also the late tackle up top by the face mask, I believe was the call there. So St. Francis beating themselves early. We'll see if the West High Panthers can capitalize as they'll roll out to the right and get it over. Another catch for Lopati.
A nice job by Sue in the rollout. Finds Lopati. Lopati able to get about a 5-yard gain. And really, JT, the short chunk plays play in favor of West High early on. They have an opportunity to go downfield and capitalize big time off the St. Francis mistake. The running into the punter and then obviously the fumble in the very first series.
West moving the ball, and that time gets the entire defensive line of St. Francis to move, Brian.
Absolutely, JT. And what I love most about that, it's the discipline for West High. This is a program under Junior Solovi that's emphasized we need to be disciplined. We need to build culture. That's one of those plays where if you're the mentally tougher team, it plays in your favor. You can see how excited the guys were to get him drawn off sides even.
You know, Chachi Pan without a catch so far. He's got over 500 yards receiving on the season, but because of who's lining up across from him in Odegwu, one of the top corners in the country, he might be able to create separation at times, Brian, but you are going to need the other guys to step up more than likely.
It is, and I think it's going to come in the run game as well. We saw early on there were some holes in that, but West is going to really work to close that off over time.
Sui, too high on the intended pass to Pan, but right on cue. Iffy with the strong coverage.
Yeah, Obadegwu over there, you can see what a weapon he is. He's a long, rangy corner, very physical. They play a lot of man-to-man, so you're going to see him pressed up in coverage a lot. See, Luceni Fafita, the senior, tried to get around the outside. He's a very tall wide receiver, but on that one, Isaiah just a little too tall for him. I'm not mistaken, I believe Fafita is also a basketball player. I'm sure somebody in the crowd can text me and correct me if I'm wrong on that one.
Under 5 to go. It'll be third down and short. Sue wants the end zone, and there was some grabbing, and the flag comes in. The back shoulder throw to prevent it. St. Francis has a hold of him.
Well, credit to the St. Francis defender for the phenomenal acting job, but that was defensive holding, pass interference, however you want to call it, all the way, 2 hands draped around Pan. You can see what a weapon Chachi Pan is, just a junior for this West High offense. But he's been so productive, as you mentioned, JT, on that one, gets him a first down just off the penalty.
And, you know, you got to love the placement on that pass by Sue as well, Brian. This St. Francis team has elite athletes. It's hard to get behind them, but those routes, those back shoulder grabs are going to be there tonight.
And the athleticism, the physical talent, it's all there for Isaiah, right? It's the nuance of the game where he really needs to refine his craft. He has a few offers. He should be a guy that should play on Saturdays at the next level as you see him take the ball here. And then that athleticism, that quick burst, I think it's so versatile in what he can do. Really adds another dimension to this West High offense.
Mentioned that burst, he nearly broke that one off. It was a nice hole created up front. You know, the West offensive line looking pretty sharp. Look, they gave him a couple of short runs early, but Sui's had time to throw, Brian.
He has, and a few early miscues. You always see that when teams are nervous, and you never know when you're playing a team from across the country what it's going to be like lining up from them. But at the end of the day, we're all putting our T-shirts on and going outside the same way everybody else does. don't know where I was going with that one.
I was waiting for the reference. 4:15 to go. Sui, pressure in his face. They set up the screen to immense success. And taken down inside the 5 is Malepeai.
Nice job on the screen play there, and you can see Malepeai like a bowling ball. They're rumbling and stumbling. Can't be an angry run because it's a screenplay, but it's a first down for West High, and I have to think we'll probably see another dose of Malepeai down here at the goal line. Hands on hips for those St. Francis defenders.
You know, initially, Brian, I was like, dang, everyone got beat up front, and that's you see why. Great play call that time by head coach Junior Zolovi and his squad. Now threatening. Sui keeps, and he gets buried. Multiple St. Francis Panthers in on the stop.
Yeah, and I wonder if maybe there was some miscommunication on that one. Looks like the misdirection almost misdirected West, and Sui taken down for a loss. As well as this offense has played early on, seeing just those slight miscues that you know they're going to want to get cleaned up throughout the course of the game.
Darren Smith in on the stop. The senior defensive lineman, 6'3", 260. He's going to make a lot of plays trying to attack the blind side of Sui tonight. Under 3 to go. Sui looking, stepping up, pocket breaking down, and he's taken down. Right on cue, making back-to-back plays is Darian Smith.
A nice job by Smith, another highly rated recruit for the St. Francis front. One thing you're seeing them do a lot is shift. They're shifting during the snap, early on. They're trying to mix up and make those looks up front difficult for West to interpret, and on that one I think they get the best of the West High Panthers. Can't really call them the Red Panthers, right? Because the Panthers are always black, but try not to trip up too much on that.
So it'll be 3rd and goal from the 18. Big loss of Yarjan. Junior Zolovi going to burn the timeout. The play clock had a lot of time left still, but 3rd and 17 with all the turnovers and things that have just kind of ensued so far, the craziness, you really feel like West wants to not just get a field goal out of this, Brian, but score a touchdown.
It looks like that was something where they didn't like the look that West came out in. There was something that Coach Zolovi saw as a teaching moment with his young quarterback, and credit to him early in the first half here. Take the time out. Get him coached up. You got a full game to play. Point that out. Make sure it gets coached well. We'll see what happens on 3rd and 17. And I think more importantly than anything, JT, tell them, we don't have to make a touchdown right now.
Yeah.
Keep it safe. Don't turn the ball over. Don't give St. Francis an opportunity to get back into this one. You can always live to play another play, get a field goal out of the situation.
And you mentioned West didn't like the look there at that time, but something I can guarantee you guys will like that are listening is Heidemann & Associates. It's a flat-rate law firm that is completely focused on you. Get a free consultation by calling 801-472-7742 or go to utahlaw.com to find the office nearest you. 2:15 to go, 3rd and 18 to the end zone. Sui, he's got some time. West left extra guys in the block. The athletic Sui escapes the pocket for a moment, but then gets taken down. The relentless pass rush of the St. Francis Panthers. But we got another flag.
Yeah, this one I think is going to be holding against the West High Panthers.
Do you think that because you saw the signal of holding that time, or what?
Giving away my secrets on here, JT, man. I hope Dusty Lister's not listening back in the studio right now. He can replace me by next week. No, you're right, JT. That was a sneaky good job by the White Hat to signal the play ahead of time. And St. Francis wisely declines the penalty. They'll force West High to kick a field goal on this one. And, again, reference the severe injury to West High's kicker last week. We'll see what they have going out here. Well, it looks like they did accept the penalty.
They originally did decline it. You could clearly see their head coach, Messi Alamariam, decline it initially, but something must have changed once they realized, because they did back him up more, to your point. And
if they accepted the penalty, it should still be 3rd down. So not exactly sure what happened on that one.
Yeah, good point.
Maybe just proper placement of the ball.
West looking to place this ball in between the uprights. A lot of players got through. That kick, it's good. West on the board first. Scoring at that time for the Panthers on the field goal was Dodi Makasa.
Great job by Dodi stepping up and finishing the kick. He's a senior. Great high, straight down the pipe, and early points for the West High Panthers here as they take a 3-0 lead.
40-plus yard field goal there, and the West High Panthers first on the board will step away on KSL Sports Rewind. Kick is up, and this one might end up out of bounds. In fact, it will. So, but they're not going to be too mad at Dottie after he scored the first points of the game on that long field goal, Brian.
Yeah, and I didn't see a penalty flag come out. Doesn't mean that this one isn't going to come out to the 35. Yeah, so it looks well, no.
I saw one of the other officials threw one.
Somebody's got something going on as the kick goes out of bounds all the way to the back of the end zone. Appreciate it. We have a spotter, JT.
We do it. We got a squad up top right now.
I know.
That's not even mentioning the birthday boy. Happy birthday, my friend.
Thank you. Appreciate that. More importantly, great to be here tonight at West High School. One of my favorite places to call a game. You can see historic Gene Plaga Stadium, beautiful school background, just a great backdrop for high school football on a Friday night.
Byrne back on the field. Has to one-hand the snap, keeps it, not even going to be touched for a long time, then breaks the tackles once he does before waltzing out of bounds, leaves 3 West defenders on the ground in the process.
You can see he just does it with ease, right? It's almost as if he's just gliding out there. It just comes so naturally to him. Got a couple big hits early on from this West High defense, and he just keeps going and going. Really impressed early on by Van Buren, the quarterback. Van Buren. It's not like we had a president that was named Van Buren or anything.
Under 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. On the 40, Van Buren takes the shotgun snap, fires it over the middle field, and it's caught. Bringing that pass in is Mason Beal.
And Beal goes up high to catch that ball, and a lot of space in that secondary. Van Buren, a lot of space to operate in. It's a great protection on that one. West only rushing 3 right now. You have to think that they're going to vary their looks off in this game.
Van Buren looking. He's got time. Is going to just decide to tuck it and run, making it look so easy. It's like watching Lamar Jackson run out there, Brian.
Yeah, not quite the same level. 5'11" is Van Buren, but the footwork, JT, almost like Dancing with the Stars out there. The way he pirouettes across the field. No, I won't make any Matt Harpring references for the local audience. No pants on the ground moments, I promise. I don't know why Harpring ever got fixated on that one, but
1:30 to go. The St. Francis Academy Panthers really moving it right now, and they currently have it at the 24, I believe. On the give, a big movement up front, but running into some bodies in the process was the back for St. Francis, as it'll be a carry of a couple yards. Gaining that yardage was Jalen Berger.
One of the things that you see with these nationally ranked programs, they always have big, physical trench groups up front, right? And I think this is a great matchup to watch that impressive West High defensive line up against this St. Francis offensive line. And you can see there the running back hiding behind his blockers, able to find that crease and gets 4 yards on that one.
Good patience by the sophomore there. Under a minute to go in our first quarter now. Play clock under 15 for Van Buren. Once again has to control the snap. It's going to run, and Taimani Brown is there to meet him with a thunderous hit.
Well, the best thing about that play, you mentioned the hit, JT, but it was really the way he jammed up the entire offensive line there, trying to get him with the misdirection. A lot of pull action there. As you see, Nukumafi sub into the game here, number 68. West going with a little bit more of a stout front as it's short yardage here, 3rd and 5. But Taimani Brown should be a recruit on everybody's radar at this point in time, right? A little bit undersized, but the physicality that he plays with, the speed, the instincts, it's all out there, man. He's just so much fun to watch.
Play clock is going to expire, and that'll end the first quarter. Oh, they might have barely gotten it off, in fact, right as time expired, and they'll probably wish they just took it to the corner as he's dropped for a massive loss. Brown making back-to-back plays.
Oh, what really expired on that one was Van Buren as he was engulfed by the West Panthers.
U-Conference football registration is open.
Talked about Nukumafi coming in there, adding a little bit extra beef. They do a great job of overpowering that St. Francis front getting a big loss. When we come back for the second quarter, JT, it's going to be fourth and very long.
And we'll be back for the second quarter in a moment on KSL Sports Rewind.
West High Panther football here on KSL Sports Rewind. We are brought to you by Igloo Outfitters. Igloo Outfitters, the coziest wearable sleeping bag, has you covered during those chilly days and nights. Worry no more about the weather and watch your favorite team in comfort with Igloo Outfitters. Go to igloooutfitters.com and to Rewind for $20 off. Never miss the moments. That's IGLUoutfitters.com. Promo code Rewind.
Taimani Brown stepping up and making plays as there's some issue with the clock. Now we're finally ready. This is going to be fourth down, and we'll call it 14. As Van Buren in a tough spot. He's alone in the backfield. West brings four. It's picked up, but not for long. Van Buren steps up, looks for the end zone, and it's nearly intercepted. But it's probably okay that it wasn't, because it'll be a turnover on down.
Race Walker Adams just dropping it. I don't know if he was able to return it or what. But regardless, a great job by that West Side defense. It's on number 22, Foti Vainuku. Sneaking in the backfield, applying the pressure. I thought Van Buren had him. He thought he had him. Got to watch out for these West High Panthers, JT.
And you know, Brian, that was a tight window throw there. And you know what I love about windows? I loved advanced windows. The fall windows sale, $2,000 off, 10 windows or more, 60 months, 0% interest. Financing available, limited time only, 801-850-9000, advancedwindowsusa.com. So Sui and his offense back on the field. They've had a really successful first drive. Had to settle for the field goal after the sack, but you know their defense is holding strong right now, and they got an opportunity to take a 2-possession lead here, Brian.
They had plenty of opportunities on that first drive. Some minor mistakes that they're going to try to correct here. As you see, Sui with a nifty move to get to the outside and get a good gain on first down.
Yeah, Sui. Both these quarterbacks making it look easy with their legs as they're just taking ankles out here.
Yeah, you look at Van Buren, and it's the footwork, right? The elite speed, the twitch. Sui, it's just that raw athleticism, his ability to get downhill and overpower defenders. Just a fun matchup. This is one of the rare, neat opportunities about having these nationally scaped games.
Sui to the left, rolls out, takes the easy completion before being dragged down that time. Making the tackle was Kevin Hummus.
A nice shot by Unga to secure the ball and get a couple yards on that one. Not a huge gain for West High. You're seeing they're trying to work sideline to sideline, get that St. Francis defense worn down. And Coach Delovey, he'll come back with something probably in the run game here, JT. We've seen that in the past, especially on 3rd and short.
When you got a back like Malapai as well, is that some of the biggest games on the ground we've seen from any back in the state of Utah this season. And a pretty good, it's just been a great battle in the trenches up front so far. A nice birthday present for you to watch these two offensive and defensive lines on both sides go at it, Brian.
One of my favorite parts of the game, it's choreographed ballet of physicality. You see the blitz coming here from St. Francis, and just not able to evade the grasp there was Isaiah Sui, trying to do too much, and St. Francis brought the house on that one. At that point in time, it's a numbers game, right? If you're the offensive line, you just don't have enough bodies to block everybody. Relying on your quarterback to be that elite man in protection and find the hot read. Isaiah Sui couldn't do it on that one, and it's going to be a quick 3-and-out for the Westside Panthers.
Coach Solovey looks a little frustrated at Kevin Malapai, the phenomenal back. I think that time they wanted to pick up one of the blitzers on the play, unable to do so. So it was the 3-rusher, forces the punt. You got a late St. Francis Panther running on the field. As waiting back for the kick is Kevin Humes, the sophomore defensive back. We saw him make a tackle just a little bit ago. Oh, that snap is way on the ground, but barely able to get it away, and he's blasted again. It's the second time this game, and Himes might actually return this for a big game. He so easily gets across the 30, but it doesn't matter because the snap was so bad that it's going to allow the Panthers, to extend their drive.
One of the wildest plays you'll see, part of the why I love high school football so much, JT, is you see the roughing the kicker on that one. It was pretty obvious. 2 St. Francis defenders running right in to the West High punter. This one's going to be a first down for West High, and it's just the chaos that ensues from it. The bobbled snap, not even bobbled, it was the dribbler. It looked like my drive off the tee. Oh, boy. There's going to be a lot of film review for that play.
It feels like that, what's his name? Jaden Johnson. She's taking a beating tonight. It's kind of like the Scott Sterling thing where the one kicker just keeps getting those balls off the head. Johnson's just getting beat up here early, but his team's reaping the benefits of it.
Johnson, a big punter, too. He's a burly kid out there, able to absorb the contact, but nevertheless, your West High, a little bit of a nudge, gentle nudge to your offense to start picking up some first downs and get another drive going where they can get some points on the board.
This is what makes these games so fun too, Brian, because on paper, St. Francis is supposed to be the better team, but so far the West High Panthers have looked like the much better team, and credit them for how they've executed, and they have not beat themselves really early, which St. Francis has.
West High is a team that's been battle-tested, JT. They travel a lot. They play a variety of schools. They want to build this into a nationally recognized program, much like St. Francis has done, and they're going to need to do a better job of it. On that play, as the ball falls incomplete, had a wide open.
Well, you mentioned earlier about the consistency with Sui Sui. You'll see it for a play, and then and multiple plays throughout the game. There's a reason he is a highly touted recruit still, but like you mentioned, if he does want to go to that next level, those kind of issues are the ones he needs to clean up.
Physical talent is all there. It's the nuance of the game, those short throws, and to us it seems like it's an easy throw. There is actual skill to putting the ball in the pocket. The whatever athlete it is that's out there in space, but just a real big missed opportunity there for West High, and you can't afford to keep doing that if you're West. 2nd and 10
from the 39. The four-man rush is picked up. It's a late draw, and Sui Sui going to be dragged down. Nice tackle made in space that time by Carlton Smith.
Yeah, and a little bit of life breathed into this. St. Francis defense is doing a good job of staying in their lanes. I think they've adjusted to the athleticism of Sui Sui, not able to get downhill. It looked like he may have lost his footing a little bit there, just not quite as explosive as we're used to seeing out of him. Nevertheless, 2-yard gain.
They'll need an explosive play through the air more than likely if they want to convert. 3rd and 8. Sui Sui, pressure breaks in, looking downfield, and has a completion downfield. He hooks up with his man. That time it's Chachi Pan.
Well, and as we see the official kicking the flag up here, it's going to be a holding penalty. Not sure I agree with the white hat on that one. I was watching Nuku Mafi pretty closely at that. Highly touted tackle. He's been a 2-year starter for West High. Got his hands up saying, I didn't hold. And you know what, Nuku, I agree. No, we're not supposed to be biased on the broadcast, but when it comes to my offensive lineman, a hold is a hold.
Yeah.
And if we're not holding, cut us some slack.
So it'll make it 3rd and very long now. Mentioned that it had been St. Francis really beating themselves that time. A tough play is that was one of the very impressive throws we talked about made by Sui Sui on the move.
Makes sense that it's a Chachi Pan as well, right? One of the more explosive players on this West High offense, and Pan really is a game breaker for them. I think if they need to get the ball moving, that's a good way to go about it, is getting the ball in his hands. Now 3rd and very long here for West High.
Yeah, Isaiah Sui Sui with 8:42 to go. His team in a tough spot, looking to move the chains. Rolls out to the right, looking downfield, throws over to Pan, and Pan is buried quickly.
Good pickup. Pan pays the price. Able to hold on to the football there. It's going to be about 4th and 6 here. I think West High is in good position to go for it, JT. And obviously after the worm burner snap last time around, well, maybe Coach Solovia has a little bit more belief in him than I do. But regardless, you like the action. You like Sui Sui hanging in the pocket. But it's the same story on Drive 2 and Drive 3 as it was in Drive 1. Self-inflicted errors that are causing problems for West High Panthers.
Their 2 4th-down conversions have come by their punter being beaten up. We'll see if another one happens this time. Max Tunuvasa. They don't even rush him this time, and it is not the greatest punt.
It's almost like he was expecting the rush that time when he didn't see it. It surprised him. It is spooky season now as we're heading into Halloween. JT, and
seeing ghosts?
Yeah, maybe you've seen ghosts out there.
Well, when ghosts can hit like the St. Francis Panthers, I understand why you're seeing ghosts out there, I will say.
It's true, and I think Chachi Pan's feeling that more than anybody right now. Took a big shot there on the 3rd down, was able to secure the ball. But Pan goes both ways. Tough kid. A junior. Going to be one of the better players in the state coming 2025. We don't talk a ton about recruiting, but there's a big part about football in this state. It is a very fertile recruiting ground.
Drive starts on the West, 49, 7:44 to go. They'll go to the ground, and Taimani Brown just having himself a first half, Brian Brown.
Yeah, he overplays it just a little bit, but that's the talent, the instinctiveness. He's so competitive. Gets the tackle anyways and brings the man down with one arm. I'll tell you what, man, I would not want to get in the way of a Taimani Brown arm.
I wouldn't want to get in the way with him regardless with how he's looked out there so far. And this defense is loaded with talent, too. They got other guys like Fotu, Nuku as well, flying over the field. You mentioned the potent defensive line talent. And right now they're holding a team that, yes, they're 1-4, but they play teams like St. John Bosco and moved the ball on St. John Bosco, scored 14 points in that game. And they're holding them scoreless with 7 to go in the second quarter. Second down, Van Buren looking downfield. He's got time, wants it all deep, and just overshoots his intended target.
You can see what it is about this offense that makes it so explosive, JT. Van Buren, just a beautiful ball. See the speed from the wide receiver position. He's not able to run underneath it entirely, and wonder if maybe the altitude plays into that one. Not sure if the high school quarterbacks are obsessive about weather conditions and everything else as the next level QBs are, but regardless, that one falls incomplete, and it's a lucky break for West High.
It's 3rd and 9. They're going to change the game clock slightly. Slight change coming up here, but Brian, what's impressed you most so far about this West High defense?
Taimani Brown has been phenomenal tonight, and I think really it's been the ability of the secondary to hang up, hold up against this really talented St. Francis wide receiving core. In these situations, JT, you see as the pass falls incomplete, finally got the signal there. I think that's always a curiosity, is how does the athleticism with Utah teams hold up nationally? And you're seeing it, especially with this West High defense, level even with a talented St. Francis squad.
And this is a team I saw last year in this West High team, and a lot of new players on this year's team, of course, but go out to Modern Day last year, Modern Day top team in the country, but they just really struggled that way. I believe it was 42-7, and the touchdown was really late in the game and it wasn't competitive. Versus here, they're not just competitive, they're clearly winning the first half, and not just because the score is 3-0, Brian.
It is decidedly in West High's favor right now, JT. They've been the better team, and really the story for them is missed opportunities. I think it should be 17-0. They've had drives that they could have finished, and self-inflicted errors are the big story for me. I think the defense has done a great job. We haven't seen a lot of great punting tonight. So avert your eyes, Moose Bingham, or else maybe offer your services. I don't know, either one.
You know what I've noticed, though, Brian, is just how much speed is on the field tonight. And I know most people think you can't teach speed, but nothing could be further from the truth. At Athletic Republic Sports Performance Training, we teach speed. It is a skill that can be developed like any other using our science-based protocols, property, super running treadmill, and AR vision video analysis. Our certified sports performance trainers work with athletes to develop the 5 fundamentals elements of speed, honing a more efficient stride length, stride frequency, power output, symmetry, and stamina. The result is a faster first step, quicker change of direction, greater endurance, and better top end speed. Low snap, and St. Francis is in the backfield in a moment.
Not a lot of disguise there for, or confusion, I should say, for the St. Francis defense. They were well aware of what was going on. And tell you what, JT, if you're in the need of payments. One thing I did want to finish up was telling you guys about West Jordan Republic a little bit more, too. If you're an athlete looking to gain a step on your competition, we invite you to contact Athletic Republic, located in West Jordan, for a free trial. Call us at 385-855-2007. Athletic Republic West Jordan is committed to making your next season your best. West, 2nd and long. The long ball incomplete. I believe that time Pan had a little bit of track in it. I believe that one was actually intended for Valetti.
Yeah, it was Fifi Ta. You're correct.
Yeah. I thought I heard Ceci Valetti over the loudspeaker, which I'm not sure if Valetti's still here, is he? Anyways, regardless, JT, as you see, putting the ball in a position where the receiver can come back and work back to get it, and just not on the same page there, Sayusuya and his receiver, and it's been the story for West High here in the first half, that they've had great moments, but just never been consistently on the same page as a unit.
3-0. Suisua with a long way to go for his offense. It'll be 3rd and 13. He's got a little bit of time, but not for long. Pressure breaks down. Suisui looking downfield and wisely throws it to the sideline because he did not have anyone open there, Brian.
And that's the evolution of Suisui that you want to see, JT, where things get dangerous for him as a quarterback. Take the safe play. He's got so much athletic ability, and he relies on it so much that you want him to start thinking more in terms of making the smart plays. And for West High, again, it's the self-inflicted stuff. And I hate to sound like a broken record on this one, but the opportunities have been there. It's a bobbled snap, right? It's not being on the same page with your wide receiver. It's not a question of talent on this one. It's a question of execution right now. And you know that Coach Solovi is going to get that fixed as much as he possibly can.
Fotu Vainuku back in for the punt, and it's much better than the previous one we saw. And that one was bobbled. There was not a fair catch called for, and they'll really pay the price. There's a flag here on this one, Brian.
It's actually a yardage marker, JT. It's just a very fluorescent color that looks like a flag. And you see the returner there for St. Francis buried. A very bold move on his part to field that one. You'd think at this point in the game they'd have a little bit more understanding of the ferocity that West High plays with, right? But again, the St. Francis team, very, very little phases this group. They've been through so much adversity off the field just to get to this point. It's a very proud program, very prominent. And you see how it shows up on the field that they play fearless.
Michael Van Buren goes for the easy completion to the outside. That was bobbled for a moment, but it'll set up 2nd and short.
And with under 5 minutes here, you're going to see St. Francis try to pick up the pace. They need to get some points on the board at some point to stay in this game. And nice completion there by Van Buren. A good job by the West High secondary to close.
Yeah, Jeremiah Koger, good to see him make a grab after we saw him go down with that injury on the very first drive after he had made 2 catches. They'll go right back to him, and it's another nice tackle made in space, and they'll keep that clock running.
And the RPO doing a good job on that one as you see the play action coming to the near side of your screen, going far side, trying to get all those fast-closing defenders from West High to create some space. And on that one, it gets St. Francis a first down.
4:10 to go, under 4:10 actually, clock moving because of the reset change on the first down. Ball on the 25 here. Michael Van Buren, the Oregon quarterback commit, still looking for his first score for this St. Francis Academy offense. The look to the ground this time, big gain. He hasn't even touched, still 5 yards downfield. Call it a gain at 7.
Nice job by the St. Francis unit up front. Get helmet on helmet and really occupy the defenders there from West High. And again, for the West High Panthers, it's a bit of a scramble in what you can do in terms of matchups, right? Do you go with your speed package, your dime group, to try and defend against the pass, or do you go with a more stout four-man front to try and defend against the run? And that's going to be the balance that they're going to have to juggle all game long.
Van Buren motions his tight end across. Fakes it, got pressure behind him. Look at the end zone, no one there except for West defensive backs, but that was dropped. It was not intercepted as it hit the ground.
Yeah, again, Race Walker Adams there pleading his case to the official who demonstrably indicates that the ball hit the turf. Incomplete pass, but I think the bigger story for us, JT, we've seen Van Buren 2 times now take the big risk downfield and almost cost his team majorly with interceptions. Something to monitor here. He's been so good in the short game, and I get it, on 2nd and short, it's an opportunity to take a shot, but eventually you have to think that West High is going to be able to hold on to one of those.
3rd and 3, Van Buren. A quick throw to the sideline converts the first down.
And there it is. The short yardage stuff is going to be there all game long. I think West is willing to concede that. We've seen it a few times. The speed on the edge, so explosive, you'd rather give up the 5-10 yard chunks, slow things down for this offense than give up the big explosive plays.
Last time we really saw the St. Francis Panthers team move the ball, their drive ended with a fumble. We'll see if they can punch it in here. Out there inside. the 25. Van Buren looks right all the way, fakes his shoulders, now rolls out to the left, looking downfield, just decides to tuck it and run. Van Buren taking off, not even touched as he dives into the end zone. Wow, showing off the speed.
That's a touchdown.
Wow, what a run there, JT. Just incredible. The zig, the zag, the dink, the dunk. There's nothing angry about that. It's just beautiful athleticism on display. You see the twitch from Van Buren. He dives in the end zone and Superman's the end of that touchdown run.
What a play. I would love to have like a stat tracking thing to see how many tackles he just broke right there, Brian, but it was a decent amount, and you see that speed that attracted the University of Oregon.
The athleticism is without a doubt elite, a very talented runner, and you can see whatever position he plays at the next level. I think the tools are all there to be a great quarterback, but he should be a guy that should be respected, especially in the run game. And it's a great decision on his part to tuck the ball on that one and run for the touchdown.
The kick is good. 7, or I believe the kick, wasn't the kick good, Brian? Or 8, there we go. 8. There, 7-3. Took a little bit of a second. Looked like the kick was good. But while we have a second, do want to talk to you guys about one of our sponsors in NCP Payments. Do you accept credit cards for your business? Want a $100 national card payments? We'll give you a $100 Visa gift card if your business signs up with a new account with them during the high school football season. They're a locally owned and operated credit card processing company that has over 22 years of experience, and they love to support local prep sports. Call or text them today at 801-300-6929 to get a free quote and see how much they can help you get your $100 Visa gift card today. National Card Payments. Payments processing done right. Call or text them at 801-300-6929. And, of course, we don't want you to forget either that Hyden & Associates is a flat-rate law firm that is completely focused on you. You can get a free consultation by calling 801-472-7742 or go to Utah Law to find the office nearest you. There's a little bit of a breeze up here as well, Brian. I think that's why people need to check out Igloo Outfitters. The coziest wearable sleeping bag has you covered during these chilly days and nights. Where you know more about the weather and watch your favorite team in comfort with Igloo Outfitters. Go to igloooutfitters.com and add the code REWIND for $20 off. Never miss the moments.
You see, after an explosive moment there from Van Buren, the quarterback, with a touchdown, West High's going to receive this kick, JT, and they're really going to need to get something going with under 3 minutes here offensively. We've now seen 3 straight drives where they haven't been able to manufacture a finish other than penalties to get a first down conversion. And for Coach Solovi, you have to think that he's going to get his unit fired up and ready to go.
Yeah, and you mentioned this West team as well. They really want to get something going for their offense. If you guys want to get something going for your home, you can go to Advanced Windows. Fall window sale, $2,000 off. 10 windows or more, 60 months, 0% interest. Financing available, limited time only. 801-815-9100. AdvancedWindowsUSA.com. 2:56 to go. Sui back on the field. Sui and this West offense scored first with the field goal. Now looking to mount a successful drive. They'll start on the ground and nothing there again. This St. Francis front really stepping up.
And they're staying home. They're maintaining the run fits. Early on, we saw them moving a ton, JT. I don't think they're moving nearly as much now, and that's leading to them being able to stand up some of those West High offensive linemen, not allowing Sui to find those lanes and use his athleticism to do the same thing that we saw from Van Buren.
Because of not just the players they have in the front seven, but also the defensive back play. You can really afford to only play one deep safety, too, just because of how talented those guys are on the outside, Brian.
Yeah, and you can see right now just a very widely split defense as they anticipate the pass. And that one just a little high for Chachi Pan over the middle.
Yeah, Pan unable to bring that one in, like you said, a little outside. Maybe when he could have gotten his fingertips on. Either way, an unfortunate sequence for West. And now, as the clock is running on an incomplete pass. It's the second time it's happened tonight. It's well caught. And St. Francis head coach is burning a timeout and irate with the officials. Of course, they want to get an opportunity to score again. With West getting the ball in the second half, head coach Messi Halamaram is not happy with that decision there, and I think he's going to talk to him and try to get this clock corrected because, I mean, easily should be 2:05 on that clock.
Has a legitimate gripe on that one, JT. As you mentioned, it was an incomplete pass. Clock stops at this level still. And if you're St. Francis, you know that your time is limited, right? You're at altitude, you've traveled a lot, it's been a busy game early on. You want to try and get as many points as possible. Should be at, well, it looks like we got 2:02 put back on the clock there.
Good job by Coach Hallam fighting for his squad, and they'll get a little bit of time. And look, even though they haven't looked like it for most of the game tonight, this St. Francis offense is capable of scoring points and moving the ball in limited amounts of time, Brian.
They are. There's a lot of it. Powerful, talented, physically gifted athletes on this offensive unit. And we saw from Van Buren, if he didn't do it through the air, he can do it with his feet. If you're West High, this is a huge third down.
How are you playing this if you're West, Brian?
Find a completion. This is one of those moments where you point at your quarterback and tell him, hey, you've got to saddle up and be a guy right now. Stand in the pocket, make a good decision. Have to look for Chachi Pan, something over the middle where he's been able to find some space.
3rd and 11. St. Francis brings the blitz, and that play broken up on the outside, right on cue, making the stop. Oh, boy, big woo. Oh, really late flag comes in, Brian. That was late.
I think this one may be unsportsmanlike conduct. We'll see if he, again, with the incomplete pass signal ahead of the official, and maybe the official was a little bit offended by that one, JT. I'm not sure.
Man, I feel like I've seen guys do that a lot, Brian.
Yeah, you would think that, JT, and listen, I'm not going to be the one to.
Oh, the flag was defensive holding. Man, that was late,
yeah,
Brian.
Yeah, so I'm interesting call there from the official. I didn't see the pass interference. I thought it was
good coverage.
Yeah, I thought that.
Can't call us homers.
Had a good blanket there on the receiver, and not quite an igloo coverage, but apparently the official saw it differently than us.
So this is how West has been able to move the ball tonight. They've capitalized on St. Francis mistakes. Go back to the very first drive, the fumble. This could very easily be 14-3 right now because of the success St. Francis had sustaining that first drive until the fumble. Then you got the multiple penalties, roughing the punter once, and now Coach Solovey going to burn a timeout as, we need to get a little sorted out, so we'll step away on KSL Sports Rewind with 1:55 to go in the first half. Welcome back into West High School. The Battle of the Panthers. Nearly at halftime, 7-3 the difference, and the clock is, I said let's take a timeout to get everything straight, and then we come back in to the clock at 30 seconds. I don't know if they were tracking the timeout there, Brian. But, hey, I mean, week 6, still a couple things getting sorted out, right?
You see the official violently waving his arms in the air to reset the clock, and this one is, I wonder if maybe the scoreboard has taken a mind of its own at this point in time. It's hard to say.
Hey, you saw those AI Charger fans recently? You never know.
Yeah, AI, it's Skynet or it's scoreboards. One or the other, they're going to take over the world, right? As we see there, now we finally get back to 1:55 as the scoreboard goes all the way down.
The Panthers, West was charged with one timeout. St. Francis still has all three. It was 3rd and short, and the exchange was actually fumbled. Let's wait to see who's got the ball. St. Francis was on top of West quickly, totally reestablished the line of scrimmage.
An interesting part about that defensive penalty, it wasn't the automatic first down, JT, so wondering if it was a defensive holding from the spot, and if that's the case, questionable stuff going on. Wouldn't be a KSL Sports Rewind broadcast if the officiating crew wasn't giving us a challenge in terms of our rulebook knowledge.
Yeah, we've been tested here early. JT Wistersill, Brian Brown with you on week 6 already of the high school football season. How about that?
Early start, gets on top of you quickly, and again, West High taking that first week off as they were on the road. So they've only played 5 games so far this year, this being their 5th, and multiple out-of-state opponents on the schedule this year. Trying to build a program that really can compete not only statewide but on a national level, and you can see why throughout the course of this one, JT, is it's been neck and neck, Panther versus Panther here.
Yeah.
And West High, I thought early on had the advantage, and credit to St. Francis as they fought back into this one.
So West team, first game lost 28-27, tough road game on the road in California. Week 2 suffered a loss to American Fork, 45-21. We've seen that American Fork team a lot. The Cavemen are very good. Then Region 6 play got underway for them. Narrowly defeated Olympus 19-18. That's a stout Olympus defense. And then you look last week, 53 points scored on Alta, who early on this season looked like one of the top teams in 5A. I still believe they can be that. I just think that's how impressive West is as well. And when things are firing on all cylinders, they're capable of scoring 53 points and holding an offense like Alta to 27.
Yeah, and injuries have really impacted that Alta Hawks roster. It's a younger team in general, but the injuries have started to mount up for them a little bit. They're starting a sophomore quarterback now as you see West coming out to go for it on fourth.
Wonder if they're just going to try to get him to jump off sides here or if they're actually going to snap it. Are they really going to want to spot the Panthers this field? And in fact, I believe a West receiver ended up jumping off sides there. Tough break, but once again, Brian, do you think they would have snapped that? That's a good West offensive line. I just don't know if it's the Eagles' offensive line.
On that one, JT. I'll be honest, I'm not sure what the thought process was. I don't believe that West High has any timeouts remaining. You know, they've taken at least 2, so maybe they had 1. Maybe that was the idea, but we've seen some confusion both on the scoreboard and the official parts and trying to get everything going. So I think the safe play for everybody here is to try and get a punt off. We'll see if we can. At this point in this game,
that's been a challenge too.
Anything's on the table, right?
Even the punts have been eventful. See if St. Francis comes after it this time. Already with 2. Roughing the punter penalties. This snap nearly goes over the head. If St. Francis might have been a little more aggressive, they might have had a chance on it. And then St. Francis Panthers end up colliding. The return man collided with one of his teammates. So it'll be a minute 45 left, and we're going to see another look at Van Burn and his elite speed. But while we have a second, we're going to talk to you a little bit more just about how they got in this position so far, the St. Francis team. They faced Butterford from Georgia in week 1, 18-0. Then they faced off against Chaminade Madonna, lost 35-14. Then East St. Louis 13-7. Then St. John Bosco 37-14 they lost, and they got the win against Life Christian Academy. What's the common theme in all those games, though? None of them take place in the state of Maryland, Brian.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why this program is nationally ranked and nationally known, is we're going to see some more conversation from the officials.
What do you... We can't, let's get the clock thing all situated in a second, but while we do have an opportunity, what do you think the benefit is to playing all these out-of-state teams? And even, how about St. John Bosco?
Bosco's a great program. You mentioned the team from Georgia. That's where Dylan Raiola, the highest-ranked recruit in the country, plays quarterback. They have a very battle-tested squad there as well. The benefit to it is that you're getting these young men exposure to different parts of the country. They're getting out. They're seeing the world. They're seeing different colleges as they're on the road. Mentioned the game against Chaminade. For an inner-city group, for a group of young men that comes from very, very tough circumstances, it's a great opportunity to know that there is an opportunity outside of Baltimore.
This drive will start on the 48 of St. Francis. Van Burn looking downfield. It's got time to throw, and it's intercepted! The West High Panthers pick it off. And another turnover, making the play, leaping in the air, and getting the grab. And the turnover that time was Oti Vainuku.
What a phenomenal job by Vainuku, playing center fielder in essence. Snatches that one out of the air, zips to the right, zips to the left, and he's off. Not quite to the races, JT, but off to some momentum finally for this West High Panther team. Been a little lackluster in the energy department. Much needed turnover to infuse some momentum into this squad. You see there's a flag out there. I believe this one's going to be, I hope it's offsetting penalties, because I just don't want to see anything else going back and forth at this point in time. I've had enough trouble with all that stuff. But regardless, a great play there by Vainuku to get his team back in the game. Personal foul against the Panthers, and again, one step forward,
break.
2 steps back.
You know, it's really interesting. I think the entire first quarter went by quicker easily than the final 5 minutes of this first half.
It has been a challenging last 5 minutes, JT. You mentioned on the punt earlier if St. Francis had been more aggressive. Well, when they were aggressive, they roughed the punter twice. It's been that kind of game, right? 2 very talented, very, very physically gifted, athletic teams playing on a Friday night and kind of in the middle of the season for a battle-tested team like St. Francis. I can't imagine that coming to Salt Lake City on a Friday night was something that they were all dreaming of maybe 2 or 3 years ago. For West High, it's a great opportunity to showcase how good a team you are. But playing with a little bit of nerves, I think.
Trying to showcase a strong drive here, 1:32 to go. The quick throw goes incomplete. That looked like that time it did look like some grabbing, but nothing called there as Pan unable to bring the pass in.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just the positioning of the defender or if it's the timing of it. From our vantage point, definitely looked like he was on top of the receiver and early. Hard to say, though. What you do like from West is trying to get the ball out quickly, trying to attack the teeth of this St. Francis defense. As you see, they're playing very close to the line of scrimmage. A lot of press coverage, a lot of blitzing.
Sui gives it this time, and taken down for the loss there was Malipaya.
And an interesting call there to run the ball, and I think West is going to burn their final timeout.
No, it's actually St. Francis being aggressive defensively.
Okay.
Michael Van Buren turned it over the last time we saw him, but we saw how easy it was for them on the first drive, Brian. So you got to think if they can get it back and just get out of their own way in a lot of ways, they could get it in the end zone with less than a minute to go or whatever it'll be with the timeout situation.
But it's a little bit of a rope-a-dope by the West Side defense, right? You're going to say, hey, let's open it up. Let's let you throw it around a little bit. Bait Van Buren into a couple throws that maybe he wants to get back and allow that West High defensive front to really attack the St. Francis offensive line. And we've seen it's had mixed results. Van Buren finally tucked the ball and ran for a touchdown, and it was a beautiful run. You know, and I know that coaches always love to coach quarterbacks about staying in the pocket and going through your progressions and things like that. With Van Buren, very wise move to tuck that one and run. And the only points of the game for St. Francis, JT, and 3rd and long here for the Panthers as we talk about the entire game recap. They've got a situation with 1:20 left where if they pick up a first down, they're now at the 50-yard line with an opportunity to go get some points. So a bit of a change in gears here for West High if you pick it up. So I'm curious to see what Coach Solovi comes out with. They had some success early on with a screen pass. Maybe you take a chance with something like that to try and negate this St. Francis rush.
Sui already with over 1,000 passing yards on the season and 400 yards on the ground. We'll see what the dynamic dual-threat quarterback comes up with here. Tries to gun it in a Pan, and it's broken up once again. Okwe Degwu on the stop.
Yeah, and that's iffy again, and there's nothing iffy about his pass coverage. He is legit, just a long-range defender, great timing. You see Chachi Pan thought he had it, and then it was nowhere to be found. West High's going to punt again, and we joked about it earlier, JT, some tricky issues with the punt team for the last couple rounds. We've seen a high snap, we've seen a low snap, seen 2 roughing the punters. Now we're seeing a missing player for West High.
Fotu Vainuku is going to punt it again, and back to receive is going to be Wayne Henry again. And Henry has made some plays when he's been able to get the punt. Last time his own teammates took him out. Another time there was roughing punter. Calls another one, a bounce before getting to Vaku, and then he can't get it off cleanly, unfortunately. So there'll be a short field for this Panthers of St. Francis offense to work with Brian.
You can see what happens when the snap dribbles back to him. He gets nervous and tries to rush the punt. St. Francis has just backed off rushing the punter the entire way at this point in time, and understandably so, JT. It was part of what gave West those early conversions. Unfortunately, with that one, poorly kicked ball goes -2 yards.
So this drive is going to start at where it went out of bounds, and it's going to be the 38. Jeez. Tough break for West High. We'll see how the West High Panthers do against St. Francis. The Panthers motion both backs out. Michael Van Buren, the 6 foot, 190-pound quarterback. With time pressure in his face. Oh, he's leveled. Using the shoulder and laying the wood. That time was Noe Tubo.
Boy, and he said no way on that one. Great job by Tui Tupo coming around the edge with a full head of steam, and that's what you got to love about a Mania Brown coach defense. They love to bring pressure in big moments, and none bigger than right there as Van Buren's taken down.
40 seconds to go. Van Buren now they'll take it from the 44. Long pass to the outside and breaking tackles and getting out of bounds before getting back to the line of scrimmage there was James Branch. The sophomore, excuse me, the true freshman, does not look or play like one, Brian.
No, Branch is very, very big. You can see just the way he, I don't want to say towers over defenders, but stands out clearly on the field. And another one of those elite recruits that you're going to see coming from St. Francis. Bit of trivia for you, JT. Angel Reese, the LSU women's basketball star.
Yes.
St. Francis graduate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there you go.
Van Buren with time, spins out a one-girl moment, but then gets taken down. West gets a sack with a chance to end the first quarter. And once again, breaking in is Foti Vainuku.
Yeah, great job by Vainuku as the clock is stopped. I'm not sure why.
I'm not sure who has the timeout at this point.
Yeah.
It says both sides have 2 timeouts on our scoreboard, but
we've learned not to trust the scoreboard.
We've learned not to trust the scoreboard tonight.
Regardless,
I think it was St. Francis. I think they got one.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one, JT, as it looks. And St. Francis trying to get one last play in before the half, and for a program that travels the country so much, you have to believe that they are trying to score at every opportunity. They don't want a drawn-out game. They don't want to get into a back-and-forth affair, especially in the second half. But Van Buren, not even Angel Reese could have scored against that defense. West High staying disciplined, great tackle. We've seen how elite an athlete he is, but it's the technique, it's the pursuit, and that's what you love to see from this West High defense. If they played like that the entirety of the game, JT, I think this one would be much more in favor of the West High Panthers. Right now, currently in favor of the St. Francis Panthers.
26 seconds to go in this one. It'll be 4th down, and if West were to get the stop here, they'd get it at least on a short end field. I don't know how aggressive Coach Solovey might want to be. It is still a one-possession game, 7-3. We've already seen what Byrne can do with some time.
And I don't think you want to try and test that St. Francis secondary as we see a bobbled snap here.
And that gets knocked out. Van Buren, what a fitting play to end the first half offensively for St. Francis, but we do have a flag on the field, so let's do this, Brian.
I don't think we're even going to see the end of the half, as that's a 4th down turnover. So West High, depending on the flag, could get the ball at midfield, JT. Like you said, this may be an opportunity for Coach Solovey to take a shot.
The flag must have been against St. Francis. It was waved off. Just a really sloppy offensive performance so far by St. Francis. We'll see if they're able to clean it up at the half. Do have some players out of tonight's game, unfortunately. They're going to try to reset the clock, it looks like. So they're going to go with 19 seconds, as one of the coaches is nice enough to shout it up to us. Very kind of him.
Shout out to Coach Mike down there on the sideline. The thundering voice able to clarify that there should be 19 seconds on the clock, and at this point in time, just clarity is good for everybody.
19 seconds left. Drive starts on the 49. Sui and the West offense, I believe they have 8 timeout left. They'll try to set up the screen, and they'll do so to success for a moment. But, man, the speed of St. Francis, they close quickly on Vainuku.
And apparently West had one more timeout as well, so I definitely lost count during the course of the first half. I like the play call from Coach Solovey. Vainuku not quick enough to avoid the St. Francis defenders, and it was a St. Francis defense that was really in a bit of chaos as they were not aligned correctly at the snap of the ball. Bit of confusion there. West High now with 12 seconds left, JT, and I think outside of maybe something deep over the middle, it's pretty much time to take a shot.
Yeah. There's actually, on that run, I misspoke earlier, was Kevin Malipaya, the main back for the Panthers. And it's been a very interesting first half. 7-3, 12 seconds left, Brian. And as you mentioned, I think the only thing left for West to do is to try to take some sort of a downfield shot, maybe get a pass interference. But, of course, the great thing about high school ball is if you can complete it quick enough, with 12 seconds left, that is enough to run a play, get a deep pass completed, run up, spike it, before you can get everything spotted. We'll see what Sui in this offense come out and try to do.
Yeah, a lot of different options on the table, and I think it's one of those situations where the couch coaches at home will have their set choice or set decision, and the reality is, as you talk it out, so many different avenues you could go down. You could even quick kick it if you wanted to. I don't know why you would want to do that, but it's an option that's out there. So is completing a pass, though, for West High. So we'll see if they can get that one under their belts.
West does get it to start the second half, so potential if they were somehow to get in scoring range, whether it be a field goal position or a touchdown, to make something happen. Sui looking downfield, and Pan brought it in down the sideline that time. Or excuse me, that was Lucy Vita. And they got to clock this ball, 6.8 seconds left, and they're going to be able to. The clock does start to run. Sui able to spike it, 5.3 left, and it's going to set up a long field goal. We already saw one long field goal knocked in earlier in this game, but we'll see what they have to do because it looks like they're arguing.
I think we're outside of field goal range in that one, JT. Yeah, you're looking at almost a 47-yarder, which for a first-time kicker this season, probably a little bit too much of a distance. And
he was running on the field. He was ready if they called his number.
Yeah, and any good kicker would want to be out there to kick this one. I think this is the smarter play by Coach Tolofi, because in a field goal, if there is a fumbled snap, if there is a block, if there is any kind of mistake, it gives St. Francis an opportunity to advance that ball. That's a quick 7-point turnaround. So I think a good call here by Coach Tolofi.
Sui, one play, go into the end zone, and the one-handed grab could not be hauled in that time. Nearly making it once again. That was Josh Pan. So, but there's somehow 0.2 left, which I think kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
But now it looks like West High is going to attempt a field goal, which
47 yards.
0.2 seconds left, JT. I think we've seen everything in this first half. So why not a 47-yarder to end it?
Dodi Makasa back for it. Lifts it, and it's not going to make it, but it won't be returnable. And there's a flag. They rocked the kicker. Oh, what a first half it's been, Brian. Mayhem, madness, whatever superlatives you'd like to use. All apply that define and describe the word chaos.
Mentioned at the start of the broadcast, there was a severe injury to the West High kicker last week. You knew that this officiating group was going to be very aware and very cautious with any kind of interaction with kickers. Not surprised to see that one come out. What will be interesting here, JT, is how much of a penalty? Is this a 15-yarder? It looks like it is. And at that point in time, is West going to try and kick a field goal now?
They are.
Where this is 32-yarder.
32-yarder. He's already made one from beyond 32. I believe it was beyond 40, the earlier one he knocked in. And now an opportunity here for Makasa. Can Dottie do it? You bet. West cuts the lead of the St. Francis Panthers to a near one, 7-6. It's finally halftime. Brian, your thoughts?
I think nobody's more excited than the West High kicker. Nice job by Dottie as he comes bouncing off the field, getting his second field goal of the night. But just an absolutely chaotic game. Week 6, most teams in the state are in the midst of region, right? And West High has a nationally ranked national powerhouse coming into town, and just one of those games where everything that can go right or wrong pretty much has. We've seen it all. Phenomenal plays. We've seen missed snaps. We've seen punts gone bad. We've seen multiple field goal attempts, and we still got a whole second half left to go, JT. I'm fired up.
We will have a second half coming up next. 14:50 to go and the half, and we'll be back with you after this intermission. But your break at halftime, 7-6. Come back with us for the second. It's doing everything but raining meatballs here at West High Field. In the West High, everyone had some time to reset after an eventful, crazy, chaotic, whatever you'd like to use to describe the first half. 7-6, St. Francis leads the West Panthers. JT Wistersill, Brian Brown with you. Brian, after you've had some time to kind of digest your first half thoughts, what are they now?
Yeah, I think they might be more convoluted than they were to start the game. I was optimistic that this would be a hard-fought, gritty game, and it has been all that and more, JT. But what I'm more curious to see is which West High team comes out for the second half here. Is it going to be the West High squad that we saw in the first series, in the first quarter, that came out and established a tone? Or is it going to be the West High team that kind of bumbled its way into a field goal there in the second quarter? and not to take anything away from the kids on the field and the job that they're doing, but we've seen this team when they play with passion, when they play with energy, they can be elite, and they can be one of the top teams in the country. And so that'll be what I'm looking for. What about you?
I'm looking to see if this kick's going to be returnable for Chachi Pan as Pan gets it across the 10. Tangled up for a moment, breaks a tackle or two, but then dragged down, and it's time to get the second half underway. Who will prevail in the battle of the Panthers? Will it be the ones that hail from Salt Lake or the ones that come from Maryland? We're about to find out right now.
You see this West High offense come out on the field and early on tried to establish dominance in the run game. Saw mixed success, right? And St. Francis moving their front around, trying to confuse that West Panther offensive line. Getting all excited for the second half already, JT. Fumbling my words, but hopefully the West Side Panthers aren't going to be doing any more fumbling. They're starting deep within their own territory here at the 8-9 yard line.
I just don't want to see any more punters or kickers get rough. That's my request for the second half. We'll see if it can happen. This drive will start inside the 10. They'll go to the ground first, and buried right away. How about the defensive front of St. Francis?
And they're pushing the line of scrimmage, JT, really trying to bring pressure from the edge and not dropping anybody deep over the top. I think for West High, it's a situation where you've got to start looking at maybe putting some audibles into the hands of Isaiah Suey and allowing him to see what's really going on outside on the field. Either that or else, calling a check with me, right, and having him look over the sideline and get the call from Coach Solovi. But the St. Francis team is built to play a variety of different styles. These are well-coached kids, and the defensive system really is pretty impressive.
West backed up into their own end zone. It was a loss of 4. As met instantly in the backfield that time was Malipaya. And did the play clock expire? I believe it did. It did. It was a delay of game. Oh, we mentioned, just maybe want to see a little bit more of a cleaner second half. Not to the strongest start of that, Brian.
Not the start that you hope for if you're a West High Panther fan. And really right now, for this offensive group, you need to settle down and get some aggression going, get some momentum going positively for you, and see that pressure from St. Francis just smelling blood in the water, almost shark-like.
We talked about
it's not even Shark Week, JT.
It's not Shark Week.
It should be Panther Week.
It should with Panther Night, that's for sure. And you mentioned this, like the shark aspect of it. Talked earlier about seeing ghosts. They're not seeing ghosts. They're just straight up our ghosts out there. They're in the backfield every single play, and those ghosts are St. Francis pass rushers. The get off is phenomenal.
Well, not only the get off, but what they're doing is they're really stacking the outside and bringing pressure from around the front. And West High, wide splits, not able to get any kind of movement up the middle. You see they get wide open there as St. Francis slants, but I don't know if that one was inbounds or not.
It was incomplete anyways.
Yeah.
Ubwe Degu, the sensational corner committed to Oregon, fired up after making the stop, and Sui had to get rid of it quickly because that one was basically third in the flight from Utah to Maryland, Brian.
That's one of the ones where you throw the controller and hit the reset button, JT, if you're playing on I don't think that EA Sports has a high school version of football yet, but
I would have hit the reset button a long time ago. I will say that for this game.
And I think West High would want to do it as well. Now, dangerous situation. Punter backed up against his own end zone. You've seen some struggles with the snap here. Oh, boy.
Does West have everyone on even? The play clock's down to 3. They're going to need to burn a timeout or else it's going to be another delay game. Oh, this is a delay game. The West coach is not even making an effort to stop it either, Brian.
Well, you got to save your timeouts. It's a 7-6 game, and for what, a 1-yard penalty? I just at this point in time, it doesn't make any sense.
You're right.
To burn the timeout on that one. I know that typically that's where you would make that call, right? But at this point where you're on the 2-yard line, now it's on the 1. I think just take the penalty and get your unit straightened up. But I think the bigger confusion for me, JT, is how do you come out of halftime and have that kind of series if you're West High? This is a team that should be much, much more disciplined than that.
And what a return, breaking numerous tackles. St. Francis in the red zone now. What an effort we witnessed that time by the athletic and acrobatic Wayne Henry.
Yeah, and Henry is a very balanced runner. I think that's the most incredible part about it, right? Taking multiple hits from West defenders there and still able to maintain his balance. combine that with the athleticism, the speed, he's a unique player, and you can see why St. Francis is so highly touted, right? Athletes at all the important positions. They've done a good job up front, and now you give Van Buren an opportunity to operate inside his own 20.
Yeah, they're at the 12 here with 10:40 to go in the third quarter. The look on the ground to big results. Look at the push up front again, and the tough running that time by St. Francis.
Well, you'd think that the team that had traveled cross country was West, the way that this second half has started. Very lethargic from the Panthers, not what we're used to. And St. Francis has come out with a full head of steam, being aggressive on the defensive side of the ball. See great push up front there from the offensive line, able to create a nice lane, and that's a 7-yard gain on first down. Very, very good start for the St. Francis Panthers.
Nicholas Harris, the senior, powers that one for a gain of 8 on the first down. We'll see if they go back to him here. Burner keeps wide open. It's a touchdown for St. Francis. Bringing that one in is the tight end, Damon Hall.
Easy pickings for Van Buren there as he finds the tight end streaking across the back of the end zone. Play action. West bringing the pressure. Van Buren is cool as the other side of the pillow as he delivers that ball. I tell you what, Oregon may have an absolute diamond in the rough here with Michael Van Buren.
Damon Hall gets the grab. The difference is 6, waiting on the PHC. Or excuse me, difference is currently 7 now. And it's good, 14-6. The Panthers from St. Francis strike first in the second half on KSL Sports Rewind. West High now trailing 14-6 right here on KSL Sports Rewind. It's their home field, and they battle out with a formidable opponent in the St. Francis Panthers. It's a potent Panthers squad that is one of the top 5 teams. They're ranked 3rd, actually. They're 42-7 going back since 2017. They've suffered a couple of tough losses this year, dealt with a couple of different things already early on in the season, as that ball will be a touchback as it takes a high bounce for a second, but does barely reach into the end zone. Nearly disastrous that time for West as Pan was going to let it go.
Yeah, it's safe to assume that you can't really assume anything in this game anymore, right, JT? We saw a delay of game penalty on the 2-yard line after all. One of those nights, and really great teams are forged out of moments like this where you have an opportunity to fight through adversity, things are not going your way. Do you grab a hold of the reins? Do you take control of your situation? Do you show that internal competitiveness and fight through all the chaos to get a win? We're going to see which one of these teams does that. And if you need to fight through a win, JT, Heidemann & Associates is a flat rate law firm that is completely focused on you. Get a free consultation by calling 801-472-7742 or go to utah.law to find the office nearest you.
Drive starts on the 20. Pressure brought instantly, and they're there in an instant as well. St. Francis' ferocious front once again flies in to make the stop.
They've found a recipe that's really working well against this West High offense. West does not use a tight end, and so St. Francis is bringing pressure from the outsides, using their defensive tackles to pinch up front, stuff the wide splits of those West High offensive linemen. And we haven't seen a counter yet from West.
Got guys like Darian Smith up there making plays. Brandon Thomas also doing his thing. And this is not the biggest defensive tackles we've ever seen, but they're very explosive and powerful. They made an impact in this second half already. It'll be a loss, or actually just to get back to the line. Tough coverage. Joshy Pan takes the grab. Panthers moving the ball. They got the first.
And you'll see the first down. That's a positive sign for the Panthers and Chachi Pan. He's been, without a doubt, the brightest spot on, I think, the entire offensive unit so far. I think if you're West High, you want to find more ways to get him involved in the game.
Isaiah Suesue gives it quickly. And a little bit more positive push that time as they're able to, the Panthers offensive line able to move Kelvin Malipaya for a gain of 3.
And Malipaya, able to do the best work when he can go one-on-one with the defender. That's where his power really shows out. And you saw West able to catch St. Francis in the slant towards the play. Malipaya goes backside and able to get that matchup and get positive yardage on first down, 2nd and 6.
On the 34 of the West High Panthers. They'll go back to the ground here, and a very similar result. In fact, it'll be even less this time as they only gain a yard as compared to the 4 they gained on the previous drive. And currently shaken up at the moment is Calvin Malipaya, and we're going to step away as he is injured. Calvin Malipaya able to get off on his own power quickly. Taimani Brown replaces him in the backfield. He's had a great game at the linebacker position for the Panthers. It'll set up 3rd and 4. All-out blitz coming in. They'll air it out. Brown tackled in an instant. What a tough tackle made in space that time. Flying in is Edris Farouk.
Great job by Farouk to avoid the blockers. That screen has worked effectively previously, JT. And you see Taimani Brown, a little bit more athletic, a little bit more speed out there. Just not enough helmet-on-helmet action from the offensive line. I love this West High unit, but for them, the challenge is at their doorstep. How are they going to respond? And you mentioned that the St. Francis defensive line is not big, it's not strong, but they are quick and they are aggressive. And when the defense brings the fight to you, you always want to be responding as an offensive lineman. And if nothing else, it looks like the punting game has resolved itself here for West High.
Yeah, there's clearly a fair catch called for as once again trying to make a little extra moves after was Wayne Henry. But going back to Farouk, that was a great tackle made in space, and it's the reason he's going to be a Tennessee Volunteer in the near future, Brian.
Yeah, this defense for St. Francis is loaded with talented defenders, and Farouk, a linebacker, one of those defenders. Just a lot of speedy playmakers out there. Again, JT, you mentioned not a ton of size in terms of height, but they move quickly, they get to the ball, they read the ball well, and it's limited this West High offensive attack to just 6 points.
Michael Van Buren keeps it. One man in front of him, and he's able to make him miss. The speedy quarterback gets it to the 50.
Nice use of the orbital motion there to get the defense thinking misdirection, and Van Buren pulls and goes to the edge, and just one defender out there trying to stop him. And for someone as talented as Michael Van Buren, that's just not enough. And now you'll see them go with the hurry up, trying to catch West off guard.
Van Buren has scored both the touchdowns on the day so far for St. Francis, and they're going to continue to pick up lots of yards. That's a first down run that time. Keeping it moving was Nicholas Harris, the senior, with the legs.
It looked like the ball may have come loose there, but I think St. Francis recovered. But the bigger question for me right now is what's going on with the run fits for the West Side defense? Is they're starting to get through the line there, but just not staying within their gap assignments. A little bit of freelancing for West High, and that is not where they're at their best.
Somehow not a first down. I thought he had fumbled. He tripped over and gotten it, but either way, 6:22 to go, and they'll go back to the ground for a solid result as it's a strong run and then some. And speaking of the run fits, more broken tackles that time, but you do got to credit the strong running there of Jermichael Gillis.
Nice job by Gillis to find the hole, hit it quickly, get downhill, make a few defenders miss. Fortunately, I think this one may be coming back, JT, as we do have a handkerchief on the field. The handkerchief is yellow in color.
That's a personal foul.
Oh, this one going to go against the West High Panthers.
That's a personal foul on West, Brian, to your point. And that was Foster actually on the carry, so I will correct myself there. It's only a sophomore. It is amazing. Like, we talk about the senior talent on this team. But then if you also look at, like, the 24/7 rankings, then they'll have the top guys in Maryland who are juniors and sophomores. And we've seen a freshman receiver look like he's going to be one of the best 10 receivers probably in his class in the future with the level he's played at tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, I got to be honest, I haven't done my research on the 2027 receiver class yet. But I'm going to say this. I think it's indicative of what St. Francis has built as a program and what they've done. You take a school that was – and there's a lot of prevailing thoughts as to why it happened or what was behind it, and I don't claim to know the details of the politics or anything behind it, but a school that was basically ostracized in Maryland and decided to build a national powerhouse, and they've done just that, and it's evidenced by the kind of players that they put out on the field. We've seen Van Buren, the running backs just all over the place. There's plenty of wide receivers out there with talent, and I think it's a credit to this West High defense that they've stayed in the fight the way they have, but also we've seen them miss on opportunities. They should be matching up every bit as well against this team.
Panthers take a shot to the end zone, back shoulder thrown a little bit too far behind his receiver.
And miscommunication for sure, either on the depth of the route or the direction or whatever. But nobody on that page for that throw. And for West High, an opportunity to catch your breath a little bit as things were starting to slip out of control on this drive. When you finally get a good punt and then you allow 3 straight big plays and not quite explosive.
All through the ground, too.
Yeah. That's demoralizing for a defense that's really done a pretty good job for most of the game.
Van Buren back in the gun. Flanking him is Nicholas Harris. And they give it, and this time actually getting the carry is Foster again. Foster breaks one tackle and then is taken down.
You see Foster runs with, I don't want to say reckless abandon, but he really doesn't care about the physical punishment out there. He's just running for straight love of the game and able to get some good yardage on that one. Looked like West High had him stopped initially, and Foster just kept running.
Last time we saw Van Buren in the red zone, he got a touchdown through the air. Might have to do the same here if they want to score, as it's 3rd and long on the 12. See that potent Panthers offensive line for St. Francis. The pressure does break in. Van Buren showing off the speed. Oh, he's going to walk into the end zone, elevating, taking the contact and scoring his 2nd rushing touchdown of the game and his 3rd overall. Michael Van Buren making it happen.
Michael be nimble, Michael be quick. Michael leap over the West High Panther defense and into the end zone for the touchdown. What an athletic play. You see West bringing the pressure. He evades the defender, and these athletic quarterbacks, when they're so good at being evasive like that, you think you have him coming with a full head of steam, and he just sidesteps the defender, and he's off into the house for a touchdown.
21-6. Buren getting busy at West High with 4:46 to go in the 3rd quarter. Welcome back into West High School, where Michael Van Buren is really starting to heat up, and that's a good thing because it's getting a little cold out here. And since I'm getting a little cold, Brian, you know what I really wish I had right now was something from Igloo Outfitters, because they have the coziest wearable sleeping bag, and they have you covered during those chilly days and those chilly nights like we're having right now a little bit with the wind picking up. Worry no more about the weather and watch your favorite team in comfort with Igloo Outfitters. Go to igloooutfitters.com and enter the code REWIND for $20 off. Never miss those moments. And you know what else is good for keeping your home insulated, Brian, so you don't get cold when you're at home? That would be our friends at Advanced Windows. Fall windows sale. They have $2,000 off 10 windows or more, 60 months, 0% interest, financing available, limited time only. 801-850-9100, advancedwindowsusa.com. St. Francis sets a booming. West offense has struggled to get going in the second half, and Brian, we saw them have a little bit of momentum. They were really capitalizing off St. Francis's issues in the first half, the turnovers, roughing the kicker penalties. What needs to change for them to have some more success this second half offensively with 4:46 to go in the 3rd quarter?
It's consistency, JT, and execution. It's really been the story of the game for West, and a little bit for the season. This is a mixture of last year's team and some newcomers, and you see Sui trot on the field a little bit late here. His presence needs to take over, and he needs to be the steadying presence for this group and this unit so that they can really start to play to their potential out on the field. We've seen it at times during the game. They've been able to move the ball. They just need to be consistent with it.
Coach Hala Merriam of St. Francis Academy has to love what he's seen from his team in the second half. They've already doubled up the score they had in the first. Sue is going to step up, has blockers downfield, and the speed of St. Francis, Brian, it looked like he was easily going to be able to get 5 yards out of that potentially, but just look at how quickly the defensive backs closed on him.
I think it surprised Isaiah on that one as well, as he starting to head out of bounds. I think he felt like he could get the corner, and then when that defensive back closed and he's unable to get there for just a 2-yard gain. And it seems at times like West has been really surprised by the speed of St. Francis, and sometimes you can see it on film, and it feels so different when it shows up in the game.
Wayne Henry that time flying in to force only a gain of 1.
What a shocker. It's not like we've seen his speed all game.
And speaking of something that's not shocking, we see another kind of confusing, just an errant play that time by West, we'll call it, as the snap is fumbled there. So West just said, going to struggle to start this second half so far. Still a chance to make a play on 3rd and long, as the exchange that time between Suesue and Malipaya not clean.
Yeah, good to see Malipaya back out on the field. Saw him go down earlier with an injury, and he popped right back up. Looked like maybe he got something with the funny bone. Sometimes a finger gets dinged. But regardless, good to see him back in the game. The downside for West High, it's now 3rd and long here. And with 8 seconds on the play clock.
Yeah, they got to go. Now it's down to 5. Coach Solivy's not going to burn the timeout, so it's on Suesue. He gets it off with 1 second. Oh, he's pressured instantly. And I don't think they were setting up the screen there, Brian. They're not even giving him a chance right now. And you've got to credit the speed of the Panthers pass rush of St. Francis Academy.
You're St. Francis with a 15-point lead. It's a safe opportunity to send the house and be a little bit risky and exotic with your blitz package there. And we've seen it for most of the game. They've been content to send guys from the edge, and West really hasn't had an answer in terms of anything offensively for what St. Francis has brought on the table. And some of that is execution. Some of that is you want to switch to something in terms of the game plan. But for West High right now, it's just a lot of it, I think, is they need guys to step up and be leaders.
Wayne Henry, this one takes a high bounce. He's going to try to return it. Oh, makes a shifty move, not once but twice, and then somehow survives the initial tackle. But a good job by all of the West Panthers meeting at the returner.
And you mentioned the shiftiness of Henry, and he is an incredibly shifty offensive player, but it's also his strength. It takes multiple Westside players to bring him down on that one. Just, man, talented athlete.
3:04 to go in the first half, and talk a little bit more about the defensive line for St. Francis. Darian Smith, Brandon Thomas, also Christian Osei out there. Just all making plays and have looked really impressive early on here as we see this St. Francis Panthers offense get back to work, and they'll pick up a modest gain on first down of about 4. But what is your thoughts just on that Panthers front seven and just the tenacity they're playing with right now?
They're playing with confidence, and I think a lot of it has to do with the scoreboard. This is a team that's built to play with aggression and use speed to their advantage. And for West High, it's a team that's used to overpowering people, and kind of a battle of two strengths, if you will. You're seeing that St. Francis coming out on top so far.
Yeah, West has got some work to do to get back into it. Easy first down completion that time. Good job creating the separation. And Michael Van Buren got it to his intended target. That time making the grab was Brandon Thomas.
A nice job by Thomas to run the route beyond the sticks. Van Buren a little bit low with the throw, so he has to come back and get it, but still able to move the chains, and St. Francis will go up tempo. And for West High, it's real early for those defenders to have hands on hips like they do.
They'll go back to the ground here, and look at that hole created. A booming hole leads to a booming run that time by Harris.
You're seeing that interior St. Francis offensive line really getting good movement up front. And for West High at this point in time, you wonder what's the best way to defend this offense, because right now they're firing on all cylinders.
Johnson gets the carry, bounces off not one but two West Panthers. Strong tackle by Tamani Brown. And, Brown especially has been the one constant, I feel like, for this West defense all night, Brian.
He has been, as there's a St. Francis player down. It looks like it might be one of the offensive linemen. And we'll get an official's timeout there. But Tamani Brown has been the Energizer Bunny for this defense, right? And I think he's one of those players that he doesn't talk a lot, but the way he plays, he tries to set the tone. And right now, he really needs to get his teammates to get on his level, because when they are all playing on that level, this is a great team and a great unit.
Welcome back into West High, 21-6, and St. Francis is driving again, and they're really getting it done at the line of scrimmage right now, Brian.
They are, and right now, 1st and 10 with an opportunity to get a ball.
But just because you're getting it done through the line of scrimmage doesn't mean you can't take a shot through the air. It's dropped, but I don't think he would have been in bounds, and the intended target that time was Jeremiah Koger.
I've seen Van Buren sail a couple of those balls, a little bit of wind picking up now, and for West High, you count that as a win right now for the defense, because It's now put St. Francis in the 2nd and long, but also what it's done is it's taken that offense out of their typical tempo, and they're huddling up. Where they've really had success is once the ball gets rolling in terms of momentum. So for West High right now, an opportunity to get another win in your favor, get a stop here on 2nd down, force a 3rd and long.
2nd and 10 off that incompletion. Michael Van Buren gives it. Oh, multiple West Panthers. They got a party in the backfield. And a thunderous hit that time. One of the top defenders there, it's Oti Vainuku.
That's the West High defense that you and I are used to seeing, JT. One that flies to the football, they gang tackle. When one player makes a play, everybody's there to help. And what do you know? They get a stop on 2nd down, now puts St. Francis into 3rd and long. And we've seen Van Buren make plays in 3rd and long, but it's required a lot more effort for him to do it. And if you're West High now, that's 2 consecutive plays where you've gotten a stop. The momentum's starting to pick up for the West High Panthers.
Van Buren, the senior quarterback, with 37 seconds left on the 29. And we got a delay of game. It's been that kind of night, delay of games. Haven't seen a ton of holding. Only a couple holdings, but a lot of delay games. Roughing the punter. With the film, do you think they'll watch this film still at both sides, or in some ways do you think they might flush it?
I have no idea how St. Francis would go about things. I think with a game coming up against Mater Dei, you likely take a chance to look at the film as much as you can, maybe on flights or in the airports or things like that. It's a very unique situation because you're preparing for such a variety of opponents. If you're West High, the focus has to be on region, and that's part of why I think this game comes at such an inopportune time for the West High Panthers.
Van Buren drops back, rolls out to the right, looks, waits, uses the athleticism to create some separation. He's going to take off and run, and he'll gain maybe 3 as the clock expires. So that'll end the 3rd quarter. 4th quarter coming up, 21-6. The St. Francis Panthers currently lead the West High Panthers with 1 quarter left on KSL Sports Rewind. 4th down for St. Francis. Brian, I'm very curious on the spot here. I could have sworn he was past at least the initial stick last time, but I don't know. Maybe there's a penalty before we went to break. It's been that kind of game. Let's get the 4th quarter underway. Van Buren. St. Francis gives him time, and not enough, though, as it quickly evaporates. The Panthers come up clutch, getting the sack.
But really impressive job by that West High defensive line to collapse the pocket. That's always a concern with Van Buren. Don't let him get loose. They do a great job of forcing the tackles inside, not allowing him to escape, and a sack on 4th down is a great way to get things going in your favor. Now it's up to Isaiah Suisui and this West High Panther offense to do the same.
The Panthers spot their prey that time, and it's Van Buren, and they're able to take him down for the sack. Didn't you think the spot on that was interesting too, by the way? Yeah.
Yes and no, right? Because there was the loss on the initial sack on 3rd down, I believe it was, and so
all for naught now, anyways. Suisui hesitates before pitching. It's a good decision, as it's a good gain for West High.
Yeah, what I love about that is it's something different. You get Malapai out on the edge, get him downfield a little bit, downhill, moves the sticks. So long we've seen West High just try to focus up the middle, and even with the hesitation from Isaiah. Oh, no. We got a penalty.
We're going to get a late hit at the end there, Brian. That's what it was. He was still tiptoeing the sideline. It looked like his momentum was going to carry him out of bounds. And the St. Francis defensive back wanted to ensure that the extra shove. We see this Panthers team get penalized once again.
It shows what I know. I've never carried the football. I thought he was trying to avoid the tent here on the sideline. That's the difference between an offensive lineman running the ball and a running back. But nevertheless, a big penalty for the West High Panther offense. And they're finally across the 50-yard line here in the 4th quarter for the first time in the second half, JT. And this is a great opportunity for them to get some points.
Suisui. They give it on the ground once again, and it's a strong gain again. This time, the ball carrier is R.J. Hansen.
Hansen is a explosive quick back. Nice change up there.
It's actually Louis Hamilton.
Yeah, Louis Hamilton. I was going to say, that looks familiar. But Hamilton, the backup quarterback last season as well, but a really talented runner. And you can see why they're putting him in the running back position. I like the change both in pace and play call from Coach Solovi.
Sue gives it again, and it's a gain. The first gain was really good. The second was not. This Panthers defense for St. Francis always responds after they give up some yardage, Brian.
Yeah, it's a stop, but again, it's a well. I guess we'll find out where they spot the ball here. Looked like you got a yard or two on that one.
They'll give
Maybe
him,
not.
Yeah, I wasn't sure either way.
Trying to go quick. You want to run a lot of that zone read stuff. It's been the bread and butter for West all game long. One thing we haven't seen a lot of is haven't seen a lot of pin and pull, haven't seen a lot of power, and I wonder if maybe that was something that if they watch the film again this week, they maybe try to go back on. But for West now, big third down conversion coming.
Sue drops back, pressure in his face. They're trying to set up the screen, and we get wait. If that play doesn't summarize this game pretty well, Brian, I don't know what does. The play was pretty far. Then we get the whistles in there. Really just chaotic. Got a lot to sort out.
I'm not exactly sure why the play was blown dead when it was.
It was
I have
late
a hard time with the penalty flag because of that reason. And so we'll let the officials sort it out. But early gut feeling is that penalty should be waived off. I don't think it's really a fair one when the play action is already going. And listen, we see coaches scream their heads off trying to get the attention of players. What makes you think that a whistle is going to do it, right?
All right. Oh, so the defense was offsides. Interesting. You know, sometimes on those you like to let it run a little bit, and I guess that time that they just figured it wasn't going to lead to much since it was a screen, and that was why it was blown dead, do you think, Brian?
Well, that's the rule change, right? Is that if you line up in the neutral zone now, there is no, they blow the play dead right from the start. There's no offsides flag. So I think really what happened was the penalty was called, but the flag was not thrown for whatever reason, and that's why we got in the situation we did.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, JT, I love interpreting officiating calls. It's my favorite thing in the world.
Done a good job tonight.
Thank you.
21-6, 10:30 to go. They give it to Brown on the ground. We got another late whistle. That's just crushing.
Now, we do have a penalty on the far end of the field, though. So, again, this is going to be, looks like a false start on West. And trying to get up and get going early, I wonder if maybe that was a false snap there or an early snap or something like that. But unfortunate part about it is not only is West backed up 5 yards, but it looked like the West High Panther offense had a crease there, and Louis Hamilton had some open field. And, boy, if that isn't the story of the game right there, JT, where you get something going and then
It's blown
self-inflicted
dead. Yeah,
wounds.
exactly. Yeah.
And it's been like that for us on the broadcast as well. So
10:14 to go, 21-6. Back it up now to the 37.
that should be
The pitch to Taimani Brown is fumbled. But Brown, I think he got back on top of it. We're going to wait to see who's got the ball. Oh, and it's recovered by St. Francis.
boy.
As soon as West takes a step in the right direction, they'll take a step back. And right on cue, the entire scoreboard is gone now.
Yeah, just another, and now sending out hieroglyphics. But JT, I think on that one, that to me looked like it was an offsides. It was clear that the St. Francis defender had jumped early on that one, and you could see that the West High. This is where the frustration with the late whistles and the flags and everything like that can really start to build up, and you can see why coaches and players and everything like that have the reactions to calls and officiating that they do, right? Because now you're expecting the play to be blown dead. It's not. You see the hesitation causes the fumble, and now St. Francis will have an opportunity to capitalize, and honestly, I thought they recovered it further forward, too. So
I agree with that.
More confusion on my end.
Quick throw to the outside, and a tough tackle is made. Wrapping up for West that time. Doing a good job was Isaiah Aniglo.
Yeah, and there was no confusion on the part of Isaiah Angiao as he makes the tackle there on the edge. And we really haven't seen St. Francis try to go one-on-one that often, and maybe that's part of the reason why. But Angiao does a great job of wrapping up and bringing down the offensive player. And we talked about it. This is a very skillful wide receiving core for St. Francis.
You know, you'll hear a lot of coaches mention, oh, our offense was able to get into a rhythm. It wasn't able to get into a rhythm. If you ever wonder what it looks like for a game to not be in rhythm, think about this game tonight. This 21-6 defined by turnovers, roughing the punter and kicker penalties. This one's setting up for a wide receiver pass. It's really well covered by West. Could be a pick six. It will be a pick that time. As Chachi Pan gets the grab.
Not able to get 6, but it's a great interception by Chachi Pan. No complaints about the wide receiver DB on that one, right? He made it look all natural as he gets 2 hands, 2 feet, and it is one direction for in the other direction for the West High Panthers. Oh, I thought I had it. It's the problem when I get to counting, JT.
The potent pass catcher for the West High Panthers on both sides of the ball was able to make a play. And as crazy as this game has been, with all these turnovers and just these myriad of penalties, Brian, it's 21-6 with 9:05 to go. If West was to somehow mount a drive here, something their offense has not been able to do in the second half, but if it changes here, you could be looking at a one-possession game, depending on if they're able to, if they want to go for the 2-point conversion here. Sue gonna loft it to the outside, and it's really well covered.
I'm not sure which wide receiver he was going for there. If it was for Lapati, just didn't get his hands up in time, and Lapati, a very tall target out there, Agent Zero. One of those new evolutions with the game of football where we see the number 0 a lot more often. Wonder if we'll ever get to the point where we see double zeros.
I bet we very well might.
We're seeing Devin Brown at Ohio State wearing 33 like slamming Sammy Baugh, so you never know what's going to happen. And you mentioned cutting this to a one-score game with a game that's had everything that I could never expect. I wouldn't be surprised.
We nearly had a big run for you, but instead it'll be a gain of 7. Nice run that time, and doing a good job keeping the chains moving, or excuse me, keeping the down marker moving, as it's going to make it 3rd and manageable. It was Kelvin Malipai.
Yeah, Malipai out there, when he gets into space, he can really make defenders miss. I think where he's really struggled is just they've done such a good job at the line of scrimmage, and you're seeing some confusion now with St. Francis trying to pull defenders off the field. For West High, an opportunity to convert here on 3rd down.
3rd and 3. And the West High Panthers able to move the chains. Tough yardage from Malipaya.
Malipaya again with a gain there as he's able to move the chains. And West starting to find some rhythm here offensively. Really what's become a story for me here in the second half is the ability of St. Francis to anticipate the snap count. And watch those defensive tackles. They're getting off the ball as the scoreboard having more problems.
He's doing those hieroglyphics you mentioned, but it doesn't matter as he's taken down behind the line of scrimmage. And just that potent pass rush we've seen, and just the defensive line, just their quick get off. That one, it was Dwayne Greeny who makes a stop. The sophomore, just junior defensive lineman, 6'2", 240. We have an injured Panther, and of the West High will step away.
Orchard with Advanced Window Products here to give you some tips on how to properly throw a spiral. Put your index finger near the tip, set your feet, and release. Ooh, didn't mean for that to happen. Luckily, Advanced Window Products can help you. Advanced Window Products is Utah's #1 replacement window manufacturer, and we are here to help you invest in your home. Whether it's replacing broken windows or just updating your home to new window technology. Call us today for a free no-pressure quote.
Welcome back to West High Panther football here on KSL Sports Rewind. We are brought to you by West Jordan Athletic Republic. Most people think you can't teach speed. Nothing could be further from the truth. At Athletic Republic Sports Performance Training, we teach speed. It is a skill that can be developed like any other using our science-based protocols, proprietary super running treadmill, and AR vision video analysis. Our certified sports performance trainers work with athletes to develop the 5 fundamental elements of speed, honing a more efficient stride length, stride frequency, power output, symmetry, and stamina. The result is a faster first step, quicker change of direction, greater endurance, and better top-end speed. If you're an athlete looking to gain a step on your competition, we invite you to contact Athletic Republic, located in West Jordan, for a free trial. Call us at 385-855-2007. That's 385-855-2007. Athletic Republic West Jordan is committed to making your next season your best. Westside Football is also brought to you by NCP Payments. Do you accept credit cards for your business? Want $100? National Card Payments will give you a $100 Visa gift card if your business signs up with a new account with them during the high school football season. They're a locally owned and operated credit card processing company that has over 22 years of experience. They love to support local prep sports. Call or text them today at 801-300-6929 to get a free quote and see how much they can help you get a $100 Visa gift card today. National Card Payments, payment processing done right. Call or text them at 801-300-6929. We're back here at action, JT.
Really tough scene as well. Just unfortunate to see that Kelvin Malipaya has to be helped off, and training staff tending to him. We hope that whatever he is dealing with is all right, as this West offense has got to retake the field without one of their top running backs and just top players overall with 8:21 to go. Still within striking distance, though, Brian.
Yeah, I would hope so. It's, a two-score game, and really we haven't seen anything. Boy. It was
start, I guess, there.
Yeah,
I thought for sure it looked like they had jumped.
So we had a wide receiver down here on the near side that jumped off sides on that one, and great job by our spotter there to see that one. But JT, I think this is, again, we talk about it, you lose a Malipaya, and he's been nicked up a little bit this game, so you're going to have to likely go for the rest of the distance without him. I think the bigger problem is it's that, right? The execution has just not been there all night long for West High, and you see the ball goes through Chachi Pan's hands. He and Isaiah Suesue had just not been on the same page like they typically are during the season.
Even when they had their best play in the first half, rolling out to the left, tight throw to him down the sideline, get a penalty that brings it back. As you mentioned, there's just no flow to either team's offense, and it's what's led to, in a lot of ways, a really ugly 21-6 game. And we're going to take a timeout on KSL Sports Rewind. West High Panthers team that in a really tough Region 6 race, Brian. If you look at anyone's race with Olympus currently beating East. West, we know, already defeated Olympus earlier this season. We've seen West beat Alta. We know Alta's a potent foe. Like, Brighton's really good. Feels like so many teams could win that region.
Yeah, right now I think the real story for West High is that if they can't get a hold of things this game, they're going to have a hard time staying with the region now. Great completion there over the middle to Chachi Pan as he gets taken down hard. And you love the aggressiveness from Pan, but at the same time, not quite enough for the first down. Boy.
A game for the Panthers, passing attack, an opportunity to move the chains and potentially make this a one-score game, but it's in danger of faltering as it's fourth down. It'll be 4th and 5. 4th and 4, actually. Suesue.
What's the yard in this game, JT?
Suesue without his top back. Pan, his top receiver, in the slot to the bottom of your screen. Suesue looking at him. It's intercepted. Picked off. The Panthers from St. Francis take it away and pushed out of bounds after picking off that pass was Jair Edwards.
A late flag here at the end of the play. It looks like it's in the area of maybe a block in the back there for St. Francis, and really you see the hands on the hips from West High. 4th and 5. It was a blitz. It looked like they had enough guys to pick up the blitz, just not able to recognize who to block where. Rushes the throw from Isaiah Suesue, and St. Francis able to capitalize on the missed.
Suesue there tried to look off the safety, but the two receivers run that deep crossing route like that. You get the other DB who was also right over the top, and then he's able to pick it off there. So just a tough break for the Panthers. It's been that all week, but the nice thing is, even if they're still in this game. 7:29 to go, get a stop here potentially. It's going to be tough to come back, but you're still in it. you are very much so in the race for Region 6 and are still a contender to win a state championship. And talking to Coach Solovey before the game, talks about they knew this was a big challenge coming into tonight's game, but these are the kind of games that prepare you. It's the same reason they went out to Mater Dei last year, and I feel like this game is only going to help them in the long run, because you can say, hey, even if you're down at halftime, guys, we faced off against one of the best teams in the nation. We can hang in this one throughout the season.
I think really what it's about for West High right now is it's about developing that inner competitiveness. Do you want to win games or not? And you're playing a national schedule. I believe it's Santa Margarita. They played at the start of the season, and then you're playing again in a very difficult region. And we've seen them at times be very competitive against St. Francis here, but the consistency, it's how badly do you want it? This is a team that has plenty of talent, but when we all did our prognostications at the start of the season, I think we all thought that West High had a good path to make it to the state championship. If they continue to play like this, I don't know if that's the case for the Panthers to even win Region 6, right? Because like you said, there are a lot of competitive teams. Now, they do have a win against Olympus. They still have to play Brighton, still have to play East, and beaten Alta. But with, I believe, 5 games left on the schedule, it's that kind of effort that you need to see from West High more consistently, where they're being competitive on every play and not the inconsistencies and the mistakes that we've seen tonight.
I will say about the Panthers, though, I think almost every game they'll play in region going forward, I think they have the advantage in the trenches moving forward, and I think that could be a big reason they could find success in games, even when tonight when they haven't been as strong, because we know how potent what the Panthers from St. Francis are on the other side. The West High Panthers, they got a lot of talent in the trenches on both sides of the ball, Brian.
They do, and I think we've seen some of that talent be tested tonight in ways that maybe they weren't used to, and some of that will be a great message for Coach Solovey and his group to carry with him as they're trying to get to this group. And you see Van Buren, whoa, boy.
Throw that behind. That is a live ball, and it rolls out of bounds, luckily for St. Francis.
Listen, I'm a firm believer that you got to let guys play, but on that one, I think if I'm the head coach over at St. Francis, I'm pulling Van Buren over and saying, hey, let's slow down a little bit on opportunities that could cost us the game.
And once again, it's not like this is a 30-point game or something. If that is scooped up and scored, it's a one-possession game with 6 minutes to go. Nearly a costly mistake that time by the future Oregon Duck, Michael Van Buren.
Well, it's freelancing, right? And I think at that point in time, I have no idea if that was a design play or not. It feels like even if that is the design of the play, JT, that the coaching point would be don't throw the ball if he's 15 yards away from you. And you see we're going to get a delay of game here against St. Francis as they were slow to get the punt team out there. And I don't hate the idea of punting after that play. It's one of those ones where you want to grab your quarterback, put your hand around his shoulders and say, hey, let's make sure we stay focused here because there's still a game to be won. And now West High will come out and have an opportunity to get the ball back with 6 minutes, and we haven't seen a lot out of this offense, but we've seen enough to where I believe that they can get the job done still.
Chachi Pan is capable of making plays. This ball will take a nice bounce. It'll be down, looks like, at about the 17. One interesting thing about the St. Francis Academy Panthers team, they are the oldest African-American institute in America, nearly 200 years, Brian.
That they are, JT, and we talked about it from the heart of Baltimore, Maryland, and in a black Catholic institution. You can see it's a team that has been through a variety of battles. As Biff Poggi took over in 2017, he built it into a powerhouse, developed a national brand and national recognition, encountered a lot of adversity during 2020 where they weren't able to play because of COVID or travel. Normal standards, and a fine group of young men that have really embraced the opportunity to do something great with their lives in an area where there's not a lot of hope. And you see it tonight, like they're just out here having fun, playing great football, and really fun team and fun program to watch.
They'll give it to Brown on the ground, and once again, St. Francis is all over it.
Yeah, just not a lot of movement up front from this West High offensive line. You see that they try to run the power there, but St. Francis has done a really great job of pinching off the offensive line, not allowing them to move the way they normally do it. And so right now it's about where's your heart? Where's the effort? What does this mean to you if you're West High? And you hope to see someone like Isaiah Suisui step up here and really lead this team to a score.
Jaden Travers with the stop along the St. Francis Panthers defensive line. Suisui, a quick throw to the outside, and it's dropped.
had something there in the flat. Receiver not able to hold on to the ball, and it just that. If you could have one play that would kind of surmise the night for West High, that might be it, right? You had something, let it slip through your fingers. And, the 3rd and long here for the Panthers, we haven't seen them take a lot of shots downfield, mostly because you mentioned the St. Francis secondary is so good, JT, and strong and speedy. And, we haven't seen Iffy much in the second half simply because they haven't needed him.
Yeah, he has one time they targeted him. It was incomplete, and to your mention about them throwing it downfield, last time they did it was intercepted. We'll see what the result is here. Chachi Pan, there was a grab down the sideline. I thought I saw a jersey tug. West wants the same. It takes a while for the flag to come in, but eventually it does.
And that's one of those situations where you're looking for a flag. The side judge over here is not able to throw that because he's looking in the line of scrimmage, and so it is on the back judge to make that call. He does get the flag there. A definite hold that should be, now they're testing my knowledge again, I believe that should be a first down for West High. I don't think it's a spot foul in that one. If it is, that's a massive penalty. I think it's a 10-yarder. Yeah, well, so it's still 3rd down. Right. Loss of
3rd and short. You're
loss
good.
of yardage early on. So
no, they do say first.
No, yeah, here we go.
Yeah,
so everybody's just
yards.
challenging me tonight. I'm doubting myself even, JT.
Yeah, it's got everyone confused.
Hey, the big news is that West has a conversion here, 1st and 10 with 5 minutes left. Have an opportunity to get something going.
Sui starting to gain some confidence. St. Francis brings 4. It's picked up. Sui going to scramble, but then he's wrapped up. You don't have a lot of time when St. Francis rushing the quarterback like they do.
Yeah, just a great job by the edge defender there to stay with the play. And you see Isaiah get a little bit off his mechanics, hesitate when he feels the rush, succumbs to the tackle there by number 40, I believe it is.
44, actually. 44. Chris Kofi.
Yeah, and Kofi, I believe, is another rated athlete for 24/7, if I'm not mistaken. I don't believe he is committed anywhere currently, but again, great edge defender, just that explosive, twitchy athlete that you're starting to see so much more of these days from the outside. And for West, as the clock ticks, man, this one's starting to get a little dicey.
Yeah, it's the St. Francis team with players committed to Oregon, Maryland, Tennessee, Wake Forest, and we've seen them make a few plays already. That ball flung in, but Chachi Pan unable to secure it once again. Tight coverage.
And you can see just how discombobulated Isaiah Sui is right there, right? Trying to force a ball into a tight window that he doesn't need to force. It's Chachi Pan. Let that one go. Let your natural mechanics take it, but he's trying to force that issue. Likely mad at himself for the sack previously, and it's just been that kind of game for him. He is so used to operating from a clean pocket back there, and credit to St. Francis. They brought pressure. They brought it in a variety of ways. They, sent from the outside. This defense has really stepped it up. Early start, we thought that maybe West was going to have their way.
Yeah, the pocket has not been clean. It's been much more like a 14-year-old's living room. Sui.
A lot of bubble gum in that pocket.
Tries the back shoulder throw to Pan and just off target again. It's 4th down here. I wonder if we're going to see the Panthers go for it. If they want to win the game, you kind of have to, I feel like, Brian, with 4:12 to go. But looks like the punt unit is coming over. You can see Coach Solovey just frustrated, kind of knows he has to go for it, doesn't want to go for it. And you know what? They're just going to punt.
Yeah, I think with 4 minutes left and you still have all of your timeouts according to the scoreboard, but at this point I don't want to trust that thing entirely. I believe it's still the numerical system over there, but we'll have to double check. But bigger than that, I think, JT, is the inefficiency for 3 downs to pick up first down when you need it there for West High, and they're going to get a timeout here for St. Francis.
St. Francis takes a timeout. We will as well on KSL Sports Rewind. Welcome back into KSL Sports Rewind. And you know, Brian, both of these offenses so far tonight have been pretty cold, and I got to imagine they would both love to warm up with Igloo Outfitters, the coziest wearable sleeping bag as you cover during these chilly days and nights. Worry no more about the weather and watch your favorite teams in comfort with Igloo Outfitters. Go to igloooutfitters.com and enter the code REWIND for $20 off. Never miss the moments. Punt is away, and impressively gets under and then into the tent we have below us here. 4:04 to go, and West's going to need to make some stops defensively if they want to somehow complete the improbable comeback, Brian.
It starts on defense, and look, there's just not a lot of enthusiasm out there for West High right now. The stands are a little quiet as well. Not the usual crowd that we're looking for, and really what this game boils down to is it boils down to being an exhibition at the end of the day. It was an opportunity to gauge yourself against a nationally ranked and rated program, and I think if you're Coach Solovi at this point in time, you want to see your kids continue to fight and scrap and do something here to try and get the win, but also you have a lot in your pocket, so to speak, that you can bring out to talk to about, guys, we're this good, we just need to stay with it. And you see St. Francis able to get the completion there.
Yeah,
once again, that was a freshman.
Yeah, Koger, the sophomore, makes the grab.
Sophomore.
But it's actually a freshman quarterback, to your point, as Tristan Sabb has come into the game. The 2027 quarterback, 5'10", 185, the future of the St. Francis offense. And as potent as they are, and as many players as they have that are going to be playing at the Division I level and Power 5 level next season, you got guys like your backup quarterback in Sabb, who is only a freshman, has already won the backup quarterback job. Speaks to how loaded the future is for St. Francis.
Yeah, for quarterbacks, it's all about getting them started early, and I say Suisui is the handoff out the middle there for the first down. It looks like to me, and I do think St. Francis is set up well. Again, this is the advantage to being a national powerhouse, is that we saw Mater Dei come through against Bingham, right, and Cole Leinert, backup quarterback, just a sophomore, but yeah, it is that Leinert. So you see that they do that, where they have these talented players lined up years in advance, and I think it's a great opportunity for a young man to get some reps on the road. And St. Francis plays most of their games on the road. They actually play, I believe, their home games still in a city park, of all places.
Haven't played in their home state yet this season. Deep pass nearly picked off. Giving chase that time was Race Walker.
And St. Francis also avoided a holding call on that one. Looked like one of the West Side defenders was dragged to the turf unwillingly, let's say. And at this point in time, with 2:46 left, maybe the officials just letting it go on the interior. Hard to speak on that one, but interesting move by St. Francis. I don't know if it's necessarily that they feel like the game is out of reach to put in the sophomore, as much as it is that's just how their program operates, right?
Tristan Sabb keeps it. Multiple Panthers in his face, but trying to get to the corner of the outside and tackled in. How about the speed that time by Chachi Pan?
Yeah, great job by Chachi Pan, and a good job by that West Panther defense to string the play out. You can see that backup quarterback not quite on the Van Buren's level in terms of speed and athleticism in the corner, and that'll be something that he'll work on and learn, and obviously, and grow and develop. And you have to wonder that with a game against Mater Dei on the radar, if maybe you aren't trying to save some of your guys for that matchup down the road. And just talking to the coaching staff early on for St. Francis, you can tell that it is a road-weary group, right? There's a lot of travel ahead for them, and they'll likely jump on a bus and then hop on a flight. A lot of nights spent sleeping in airports and hotels and so forth. As you see, they're able to get a good chunk play there. And
third on the ground, third and long on the ground, they can't get the touchdown, but able to get the first down that time was Caden Foster, the sophomore back.
Foster gets the first down, a nice shot by Unga to wrap up and bring him to the turf, but again, not the kind of effort that you want to see if you're Coach Solovi from your defense this late in the game. That's an opportunity to get a stop, possibly get the ball back with under 2 minutes.
Foster tries to bounce it to the outside. A bevy of Panthers join him on the stop. This game may be winding down, and in some ways the window may be closing on it, Brian. So you guys need to check out Advanced Windows Fall Window Sale. $2,000 off 10 windows or more. 16-month, 0% interest financing available. Limited time only. 801-850-9100. AdvancedWindowsUSA.com. Also, make sure you guys head over and check out Heidemann & Associates. They're a flat-rate law firm, and they're completely focused on you. Get a free consultation by calling 801-472-7742 or go to utah.law to find the office nearest you. The freshman trying to get everyone settled, and St. Francis is going to take a timeout. We will as well with 1:40 to go. St. Francis hoping to put the finishing touches on a win out here in Salt Lake City. The outside, it's still the freshman quarterback in there trying to make something happen in Sabb.
And throws that one out the back of the end zone, and for West now with third down, minute 34 on the clock, still an opportunity to get the ball back. But I think the bigger picture for the West Side Panthers is What can you take from this game going forward as you double back into region play, JT? And we talked about it a little bit earlier in the broadcast. They do have a daunting task ahead of them in Region 6. Very competitive region. Already faced off against Olympus in a hard-fought one. And haven't seen the score for that one yet, but at one point in time, Olympus was up 6-3 over East.
I'm not sure who had the ball. The Panthers end up with it up last time. Total confusion. I see what the summer hit this entire game. 21-6, 133 ago. It would take a lot, but it's still only a 2-touchdown game. Let's somehow score a touchdown really quickly. They still have their timeouts, I think, as well.
I do believe that it was St. Francis that's taking all their timeouts. I think the unique part about that, and Alvin Poeful coming away from with the football, and big number 95 getting the fumble recovery there. And West High will start with the ball on their own 10-yard line, JT. And like you said, it will take a Herculean effort to get this one to tilt in their favor, but stranger things have happened. And Taimani able to get about 5-6 yards in that one. And, you know, with the loss of Malapai in the game, you see they've changed their rushing attack a little bit, and maybe you'll see more of Taimani and Louis Hamilton moving forward. We'll have to find out what the exact injury is to Malapai. It looks like Olympus taking care of business against East High tonight. What was the score on that one, JT?
23-10 in favor of the Titans. Sui going to keep it before being dragged down. They'll get the first down. Clock under a minute to play. They stop and change the stop on the chains. Also, Alta getting back on track. They keep Highland 27-14. Brighton bested Skyline 42-0. You see the West High take a timeout, and Brian just has seen West now. We know how loaded on is. We've seen Olympus and Varsity, and I have. Brighton's got a lot of talent on their side too. Just what do you think about Region 6, and how do you expect it to play out the rest of the season?
I think the interesting part about it is that if you base it off of tonight's performance for West, it's up in the air. This was not what I expected to see from a Panther program that really had starting to make some serious progress and serious movement. We saw them play an outstanding game last week, I believe, against Alta. Again, a hard-fought win against Olympus. Now you go up against St. Francis. The rhythm's disrupted. How does your team respond? Because you still have games on the schedule that you need to win. Now, RPI will obviously get West into the playoffs one way or another, as long as they manage to win some games. But
yeah, facing off against Skyline, Highland, both those on the road, home against East, and then home against Brighton too.
Mm-hmm. Those last two home games will be tough ones.
Yes,
you know, very winnable games against Highland and Skyline. Those programs are not what they used to be, and I think West is much more dominant here in the Valley. As you see the handoff go, it looks like a first down there.
It will be a first down. A little bit more life for the Panthers. Clock will stop, and they'll burn another timeout. It's interesting what West is doing right now. You know, they're burning the timeouts because they are having that success on the ground, but if you want to get into the end zone, it's probably not going to come on the ground at least quick enough to get you back in this game, Brian. So what do you think the strategy is right now?
It's about getting your guys back on page and getting some good vibes. I know that's a term that gets thrown around a lot, especially by the young folk. The kids in the
I like your usage of it.
The kids in the neighborhood tell me that vibes are the thing, and so really what you want to do is you want to get some vibes going for your offense. You want to get some momentum. You want to finish things positively, and you want to get back on track because we talked about it. This is a disruption game, and it can be a distraction. While it's a great opportunity to play a nationally ranked opponent, it's also not part of what your season goals are. You want to win a state championship, and so the biggest thing I think if you're Coach Delovey, don't get anybody injured. Make sure your guys stay focused and get your team finished strong here. I think this could be a game where you maybe start to doubt yourself a little bit and get back to what your bread and butter is, get the run game going, and you know, for the last 50 seconds of the game here, make sure your guys stay focused and stay engaged.
Sui in the West High offense with 49 seconds left in this 21-6 game. They have it on the 33. Sui will drop back. Pan tried to elevate, but can't bring it in. Tough coverage on the outside. Making a play from the defensive back position that time was Javar Stewart.
Yeah, I believe that was actually Fafita, number 3, who went up and tried to get that one. Not able to control the ball. Almost looked like it surprised him when it hit him in the hands. But, you know, we get another play here for West with 45 seconds left. Just late on that one with a throw. They had Lopati open there early on, and just that's the sync, the rhythm of this offense has been so disrupted, and I think that's the part, if you're this coaching staff, you're thinking about going into next week, how do we get that rhythm back as you go to, I believe, at Highland next week for West.
Yeah, Highland next week, you mentioned, then Skyline, Easton, Brighton. That'll do it on the season. Still 4 games left for West as they try, regular season that is, trying to round themselves into form before postseason play. And the Panthers of St. Francis get home one final time in a play that might end it. You can maybe get one more off if you hustle the line. 30 seconds left. They'll probably get at least one more playoff, but just been that kind of night. And this is a St. Francis team that, look, I know their record is 1-4. They're about to be 2-4, and they have Mater Dei next week, which is going to be very tough. We saw Mater Dei against Bingham already this season. They got a lot of dogs on their roster overall, and I still think this is a St. Francis team that's going to be able to do some strong things. Obviously, going to make stuff happen in the state of Maryland this year, and be interesting to see what their national ranking, and just going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out for the West High Panthers, as they are going to let the clock expire. This one didn't go the way they wanted to. St. Francis was sloppy at the start. A much stronger start to the second half. I don't know if they finished the game they necessarily wanted to, too, but 21-6. Brian Brown, your final thoughts on your birthday?
Well, thank you for that. I think my final thoughts are, it's always a great night to be out here watching high school football in the state of Utah. I'm a big proponent of high school football. I'm a big proponent of what the quality of talent and everything like that in the state. And I thought that was on display tonight, where we saw a West High Panther team match up against a nationally rated, nationally ranked, nationally recognized St. Francis Panther team and go toe-to-toe for the entirety of the game. 21-6. You know, we saw Dylan Raiola, the highest rated player on the 24/7 composite, beat this very same St. Francis team by a score of 18-0. And so for me going forward, I think there's an opportunity to look at this West High squad and say what might have been for this game. But I think the realization is just how good the football is in this state and how these kinds of games shouldn't be toss-ups anymore. There should be an expectation for Utah teams to come in, to win, to dominate, to set the tone, everything like that. We saw that at times tonight. We saw the West High team that I really have grown to admire. Mm-hmm. But, for this particular version and variant, I think there's still some growth to come. And moving forward, really what excites me is you've got all those teams we talked about, Highland, Skyline, East, and Brighton on the schedule still. And everything is on the table for all those teams outside of maybe Skyline and Highland, who are kind of out of it now. But great night of football, JT. Always enjoy calling these games with you. My MVP tonight, the entire Rewind crew. Great job for you guys. Great job tonight by the St. Francis Academy. I think Michael Van Buren can walk away with also the game MVP as well. But a fun night out here. Great to always be at Gene Plaga. And, we'll try again next week, right?
We will try again next week. It may be your birthday, but we got the present because we got to work with you, and I get to work with you every Friday night, Brian. So we appreciate what you do. And that will do it for us here from West High School. 21-6, your final as one of the top teams in the country. The St. Francis Academy Panthers get a win in Salt Lake over the West High Panthers. For our cameraman, Austin, and our... trying to figure out your position, Verl. I'm not going to lie, it's at this point in the game, but board runner as he runs the computer. And Brian Brown, I'm JT with you. So that will do it for us here from the booth on KSL Sports Rewind.